Good afternoon and welcome to everybody. This is a kind of special. We've got a special guest on our show today. We have Gina Willis. Gina, welcome. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Tony. Doing great. Good to see you.
Good. So as I kind of put out there that we're going to be playing A Glorious Chance, which I was talking to Gina before. I was so excited about, and some people had seen it before, like when you're doing some play testing at some cons, and they really raved about it. And I'll tell you what, I got it, and I started playing it, and I was struggling with it. But the more I read it, the more I like it, the more fun it's going to be. And there's quite a few people that are very passionate about it as well. So I have quite a few people that were looking forward to seeing this stream and having you along and watching me struggle with the battle for Ontario, Lake Ontario. So this is I had watched your interview with Pushing Cardboard, by the way, very good. I'm excited about the Battle of Atlanta with the Blind Sword series. That's really exciting. I do love the Blind Sword series quite a bit. I really enjoy the Civil War, and I like GBA, CW, and then also Blind Swords, which are the two major tactical systems for the Civil War, and I like both of them a lot. They're both different, so it's kind of nice. I don't get rules mixed up between the two, so kind of works out kind of nice. So I'm excited about that. I know it sounds like you've done a ton of history research on both this game and that one, and also I'll tell you what, that Skies Above Britain, that was a genius, by the way. That was just a genius move. So
thank you.
So we've got some people in here, so I always like to say hi. ID Jester, of course, a part of the War Room. He says, "Help you have fun." He's at work, so he might not be able to jump in, but he wanted to say hi.
Yeah,
and he wanted to make sure I didn't get away with any of my BS. Well, since it's a solitaire game, if I cheat, it's usually for the AI and not for myself, and so it works out. So we got Paul, we got Mike from Arizona. Christoph is the usual, so good to see you, Christoph. He's over in Belgium, so which is pretty nice. And then we've got Curtis. And then
hi, Curtis.
So I'm looking forward to this. Now I am a newbie at this, so that's one of the reasons why I asked Gina along. So we can make sure we get some good videos out there to make sure it's if questions come up and everything like that we can take care of. But I don't want to talk much more. Oh, damn it. In the game until yep. Now he's very interested, Joe. Okay, well, we'll see how it goes. It is a topic that is not much actual, that doesn't actually have a lot of cover to it. So I'm kind of excited about it. The War of 1812 is generally not covered in too many topics as it is, and mainly because it was a draw when it comes down to it. So which is very interesting. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put the game on. If you want to see anything you want to give away, Gina, or talk about before we get started with it.
Yeah, just so everyone is clear, this is a solitaire game. It's card assisted with an artificial intelligence run by the cards, which are the brain of your opponent. And what I'm particularly happy about with this game is that the AI is very challenging and very unpredictable. It will do all kinds of things that can surprise you, and you can lose the game. So that's the best part. That's always the big fear when you design a solitaire game. If it's too easy, people just aren't going to play it. And, I take my inspiration from games like John Butterfield's D-Day at Omaha Beach, where people come on years, decades later and say, I think I've only won this maybe once or twice, but I've got to play it again. And that's kind of what keeps people coming back. So you don't want it to be impossible. I think you want people to be able to win maybe 1 out of 3 times, but we'll see how you do today, Tony. Let's go on.
Yeah, me and my naval prowess, as we'll see. We'll see if I'm a good admiral at this, and
So
run this
Tony, are you
way.
going to watch the questions? Because I'll be on the game screen, so I
Yep.
won't see them. Okay, great.
Yeah, if something comes up, I'll make sure we ask it. Also, the other thing is if you're watching this later and you have questions for Gina about the rules or something, I can always send her a quick email if a rule comes up. If somebody has a question, then we can get it responded to. Because I know I get a lot of people. This is the middle of the afternoon for us on the East. Our good friend Bob. Bob, I've got your game is up next on my list to play, by the way, the Save South Vietnam. So Bob's really good with his solitaire games as well. Let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and put this up, and we don't have to worry about seeing our faces. We can get through it. So the nice thing about Vassal is a lot of the stuff is already put together, but there are a few random things that we need to start out to do. And so first of all, we've got everything's here. And by the way, I told Gina there's only one game that I think is bigger on my table, and that's Mr. President. So this is has a pretty good size footprint, but I'll tell you what, the materials are very good. I really like the counters, everything are really high quality. The map's really good. It's absolutely gorgeous. So we'll see how this works out. So I kind of have it spread out. I'll zoom in as we need to with that. So kind of the first thing we're going to do is we have to get the British convoy markers. So in the game, if you notice up on the top up here, we have British solo and US solo. Well, we're only going to be using the British, or excuse me, the US solo, which is the British convoy. So we don't know when their convoys are going to happen. And so they are usually they're done randomly. So you have 2 Junes. So I'm going to zoom in here on the turn track. And if I'm getting anything wrong on this, Gina, just let me know. So
sure. There's a little button up there where it says British Solo AI Convoy Markers, and that's where you draw them from in the Vassal module.
Yep, I got that up. That way,
I'm not seeing it on my screen. Do I need to do something to see what you're doing?
No. Well, the only thing is because it's a separate window. That's the only reason. As soon as I put them out onto the main board, you'll be able to see it. It's just because it's
okay. Yeah. Right. I'm looking at it.
So basically, they're random, so we don't know. So, and the nice thing is the convoy markers. They're randomly put out. So as soon as I put them out here, they're random. So we have 2 Junes, 2 Julys,
right,
2 Augusts,
right,
and then 2 Septembers, and they're all pulled out randomly. So that's all taken care of.
And if I might add a little historical note, if you look on the map, you'll see this red line right here running along the shoreline of Lake Ontario. Yep. This is one of the big Achilles heel for the British in the campaign on Lake Ontario, which is that they had to get their supplies if they wanted to operate at the west end of the lake where Toronto is today and where Burlington Heights was, and all their campaign on the Niagara frontier. They had to get supplies all the way, like from, Nova Scotia, Quebec, down the St. Lawrence River, and then through their home port here at Kingston. Then they had an inland route that was somewhat protected along here, but then they had this whole distance across the lake to get supplies. Whereas the Americans, if you look over here to the right, had just this short route from Oswego along the coast up to Sackett's Harbor. So that waterborne supply line is a great place for the Americans to create some chaos.
Okay, that's a good point. I was kind of curious on that because when they, if we do a convoy or patrol or something, so basically North Lake and York are kind of important areas to send patrols possibly and things like that.
Correct.
Okay. All right, so we have the British convoy markers. Now, the American convoy markers, we actually get to choose when we get those. Now, is there a kind of an opening that you would recommend? Like, do you recommend having the convoy for the U.S. on the first turn? Or
I do. I find that most players seem to like to do that, and I agree with that because, first of all, the sooner you can get your convoy supply level up, the sooner you can get your ships constructed, and the sooner you can start to make some of your troops available for the army. So, and you never know what's going to happen. So the sooner you can get a convoy in, the better. So I always recommend starting out as Americans with a convoy on that first turn.
Okay, and then so really just trying to get so July, you choose one for each month, and
Yeah.
so it seems almost like the first is probably the best way to go.
Yeah, but you
For
don't have to do the other ones yet.
okay.
Yeah, and because you can wait and see how the game develops and whether you want to run one or not. It's a specific place in the preparation phase where you decide
Oh
whether
yeah,
you
I
want
did
to
see that.
run
Yep,
a
I did see
convoy
that.
or not. So you have the freedom to wait and see. You just have to choose one now for June for this
Okay,
turn.
cool. So yeah, then I'll do that with June. Anytime I think that was one like in the playbook they actually put it for June right off the bat. So I
Okay.
kind of like
Yeah.
said, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So we'll just go with that. So then we got our convoy markers. Now we have our AI troops.
Right.
So these are the troops up here, and I believe, and so I've got them up here. I'll be putting them out,
Okay.
and
And
so
just important to note, you draw them out and you put them in spaces 2 through 8 on the British convoy supply track there, which would be, yeah, there you go. 5, 6, 7, 8. And then that last one you'll put here on the British available troops.
there we
There you
go.
go. We don't know whether there really are troops there or not yet, but
Yeah, it's one of those. It's the nice part about the game that I really like is there's enough um, randomness to it that it makes it interesting, and definitely there's a replayability to that as well. So
thank you.
so now we do have our U.S. troop markers. So basically, what this does is we have 3 U.S. troop markers. They go on the convoy supply track, but since the Army controls them, um, you don't get to decide where they are. So basically, they're put in there. And what it is I'm gonna do a real quick here, because the one thing is not this 8 is not in the thing, and it's the if I can it's the late combat gunnery hits distribution, so it kind of randomizes a few things. So that's not in the module, but that's what we use to put um our three troops on. I'm correct on that, right?
That's right.
Okay.
And that's
So
not in the Vassal module. That's in the hard copy of the game. So
yeah,
you'll be using that offline to check.
yeah. So you'll have to just trust. Everybody will just have to trust me when I do this.
Okay.
So we use the 8 column on the gunnery table, which we'll get into that eventually, anyways. I roll 2d6. It's a d66. So 1 and 1 is 11. 66. A 6 and a 6 is 66. So the first one, oh, let's.
No, roll
There it is.
11
Yep.
to 66.
There we go. I got it.
Now you got
So
it.
36 on the 8 is 4. So the first one, my first troop goes on number 4.
That's right.
The next one is 43. So 5.
Okay.
And then my last one is 26. And that will be on the third turn or the third spot.
Oh, that's interesting. So you're going to have them in succession like that. That can be very useful.
Yeah, that reading on that, and hopefully we'll get to that. But like like we were talking before, some of the phases, depending on how we go through, the turns may not even use some of the phases and things like that. So, which is interesting on that one. So, all right. So I believe that is all the setup. So we are at this point, we would be able to start the game at this point because that's all the setup that we would do. I'm correct on that, right? Use troop markers.
That's right. That's right. And so now you're in you're still in the preparation phase, and you're going to skip over. Let's see. I would say you're basically down to, well, I'll call attention to step A6, which is naval balance, because that's a very important concept. If you look at this table right here, it's a track actually.
Yep.
The most important consideration that both commodores on either side had as they considered what to do in the campaign was they were looking at their enemy and trying to figure out how many ships did they have, what weight of firepower did they have versus the ships that the friendly side had. And so that's represented in the game by this track called naval balance. And it's essentially the value in the game of all the ships each side has and the difference. And so as things change during the game, this naval balance marker can shift. And this is very important because it helps the AI know how the game's going. And depending, like if it's going really well for the AI, they will start to get either very aggressive, or they'll just sit on their laurels and not do much of anything because they're guarding a lead. Whereas, they'll be a little more cautious maybe if the game is close. So it's just interesting because it does affect how the cards come out a little bit too. So you're going to look at that naval balance, which always starts right in the middle here.
Right in the middle, yeah.
And
it takes a lot to actually, once it starts moving, then it's a little bit easier, but it seems like it can take a lot to really move from one side to the other.
Yeah.
But once it gets started, it seems like it would lead to more and more the way it's going, kind of a momentum type thing. So,
right.
So I did have a quick question, by the way, and I don't know if you would know this, but I don't. They were wondering. Somebody was wondering, how did they get the supplies upstream to the Great Lakes, or were the supplies really coming from other areas? If they originally at sea level, how did they get them into the Great Lakes? But it seems to me they're actually coming from more of the interior than it is from the ocean.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah, coming from it's the interior along the river. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Although the sailors and officers had a long journey. They had to go across the ocean. They went to Halifax, Nova Scotia, where that was their big British base in North America. And then, they had a whole succession of boats and wagons and on foot and everything to get through the wilderness just to get to Kingston, even before they got on boats.
So, yep. Okay. So what we're looking at here is, so really the first thing is the assigned new ships for either side.
Yeah, you're basically this is your biggest decision each turn is what missions. What do you want to do with your squadron and where do you want to do it?
And of course, the flagship for, which one was the flagship? I forgot to look at that. What was the flagship for?
It's the Madison to start with.
Yes, that's right. So let me make sure I get that marker on there.
Yeah, that's okay. It doesn't matter as much now, but it's good to be aware of it. And sometimes it will change. You can even transfer the flag in the middle of a battle sometimes.
Okay. So basically we assign ships. So place ships in the lake zones. Now, Gina was telling me before that the U.S. actually has a little bit more variety, and we were able to show off a little bit more because they're able to do a lot more missions because there are a lot more ships for the U.S. So we can do quite a bit more. So I have a convoy. So I think one mission I'm definitely going to do is an escort. I think
good idea.
Might as well do that.
Yeah.
So
the question is, how many ships do you want to put into that escort?
Yeah, and which ones are the best ones to go with? So, real quick, I wanted to kind of go over the counter real quick, because they're all the same, but I wanted to go over what kind of each of the numbers are real quick.
Oh, sure.
On the left side, it is so there's three numbers. So I've got the Fair American kind of blowing up on the screen here.
Yeah.
So the top one that I have listed here, this one right here.
Right.
So the 3 is their long gun strength. I'm correct on that?
Yeah, all the offensive factors are on the left and defense is on the right. So you go from long, next one down on the left would be carronade strength, which is short range guns. And then the 1 is close action strength, which is kind of a combination based on the number of Marines they had aboard and also just kind of the size of their crew and things like that and weaponry.
And then the one on the right is their defensive strength, which is kind of a combination of abstract on that. And then
kind of based on the size of the ship a little bit and the mass of the hull, so that tiny little ships can't take as much punishment and the bigger ships have a bigger defensive rating.
Yeah. And the single dot or the dots up in the right hand corner next, that's how many steps. So the Fair American has 1 step.
Correct.
So but like the Madison has 3 steps. So
That's right.
and we'll get into that. So um I'm trying to think of, this is kind of where I get stuck is, okay, I got the game set up. I want to do an escort. Now what do I do?
Right. Well, I'll give you a few, I'll just discuss it a little bit, how
Yep.
I would approach it. First of all, you kind of have to think about that if the British show up, they're going to all be together. So you're going to be facing 5 warships, and they're pretty powerful. So that Fair American even isn't going to stand a chance against them.
No,
The
Madison and the Oneida would be the 2 that would probably be the most powerful on that.
Yeah, at this point, that is your best. On the other hand, you want to do other things and not just be purely defensive. So I would say assign a little bit of an escort, but not more than you can maybe afford to lose if the British show up and attack it.
Okay.
You know, because what could happen is even if you have a weak escort, the British might not get the weather gauge and not be able to attack you, and you might still be able to escape with the convoy and stuff.
With the convoy. Yep.
So maybe just, a few of your secondary ships, put them with it. I would also say, like you've got something like maybe the Asp, which is all zeros, and maybe like the Pert. Maybe just a couple like that.
Okay.
They don't have much firepower, but they'll be there as an escort in case, and it might at least give the convoy a chance.
Okay. So basically at that point, then mission wise, those will be escorts.
Escort, and there's escort markers in the marker panel that you.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. So that's one mission, and you can do patrol or you can do raids.
Well, I was definitely going to do a raid because the raid is actually one way to do that.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
and you can. Okay, so I was going to say escort wise, it's going to be always in Sackett's Sackett's leg zone, which is right here.
Because that's where your convoys are running. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where your convoys.
Wow. So you want to do patrols or raids anywhere?
I was definitely going to do a raid. So the raid looks like Kingston is probably the better way to raid because it's 1 VP for a successful raid. While the York is only 1. The Kingston is 2.
Yeah. So the only drawback of Kingston is you're much more likely to encounter the British squadron there because that's near their home port, of course. But that's okay because it's also not too far from your port, and if you have ships in the Sackett zone, they might even be able to reinforce an encounter up there. So why not try a raid on Kingston? And you can do it with as little as 1 ship, because it's really literally, if the ship is still there during the coastal action phase, then you just put a raid marker on that target and you've got it. So
I was going to do something like the Hamilton, I think.
Okay, that's fine. Oh, well, be careful with that because the Hamilton has a long gun strength, and you may really want that if you have a. That
might be good for like a patrol or something along those lines.
Keep it with the rest of them. Let's see. Well, the rest of them all have long guns.
Okay, except for the Lady of the Lake.
Go ahead and put that. Well, the Lady of the Lake. Now, there's a really interesting ship. That is a small patrol boat, but it's built as like a messenger boat, so it's really fast, and it's very survivable because you notice it's tiny, but it has 2 steps, so it's a little more survivable if it's all by itself. And what I like to do is I put that on in the Sackett zone. Put the Lady of the Lake as on a patrol mission by itself, and then it's almost like a picket where it's sitting out there watching for the British. And if there's a possible encounter, you can place the marker. You get to decide where you want to put the first possible encounter marker. So you put it on the Lady of the Lake, and that'll distract them from your convoy. See what I mean?
That's good. That's the things that I like to hear. These are kind of really neat things, and why you've chosen some of this stuff with that. That's pretty cool that it's basically like, oh, I can draw, because I've played enough to know that the first turn, basically the first encounter that actually happens is the only encounter that's going to happen.
Well,
so
yeah, but
so
it's a gamble because there could be like even 3 possible encounters in Sackets, and at that point you have to place those markers evenly. So it's a gamble but this way you're a little bit protected. If there's only one possible encounter, you can put it on the Lady of the Lake.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, the other kind of curiosity thing is this. So, for the bigger ships, what would you be using? So, like for let's say the Madison or the Oneida or even the Governor Tompkins, what would be the good use for those?
Well, those are your fighting ships. They're your main ships, and they've got most of your firepower, and they're the most survivable. So that's your real combat power there.
Okay.
And in fact, you pretty much need almost every ship you have left to make a capable force that could stand up to the British at kind of close to 1-to-1 odds. So you don't want to get into detaching too many separate ships on their own missions. But I'd say you could afford one more small ship for a raid up there in Kingston if you wanted.
Okay. Well, we'll just take the Ontario here.
Yeah, put the Ontario up there. Yeah. Put a raid mission on that and over there in Kingston. Yeah. And then the question is, with the rest of your squadron, you can either send it out to patrol a zone, or you could even just leave it in port and hope that if something happens somewhere, you can react to it and get out there in time. But that's literally a roll of the dice. So, and the farther away the encounter is, the less chance you have of being able to get out to it.
Now, I do know that I could do another raid in York or is it York? Yeah, with York, not Kingston. Yeah.
You can put your squadron in York if you want to, but they're all the way across the lake. So
yeah,
your guys on the east side are going to be on their own.
Yeah, I was going to keep like the Madison and the Oneida there in Oswego in the deployable area. And I was just going to send one of the smaller ships just to see if I can get an attack. So I was going to take Hamilton, which has got a little something there.
Yeah.
And put it as a raid over in so I need to scroll out a little bit here. Put it out in as a raid in York.
Okay.
And go from there.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Maybe he'll even find a convoy or something.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if I should see. I was thinking about maybe throwing the patrol in Kingston, putting those big boats in Kingston as a patrol, because then they would be adjacent to Sackets to react if I needed to. They kind of
yeah, that's a really good idea.
So I think I'll do that. I think I'll take the 4 ships here that are the kind of the larger ones.
Yeah.
And then I'll put them as a patrol as well.
Okay. Maybe it's time to pull the lens back a little bit and help explain to viewers what the object of the game is. Like how do you win? What are you trying to do? So I'll explain quickly. You'll see that the lake is divided into 6 zones. And the real object of the game is to control Lake Ontario. And by control, in the game terms, what that means is, it's a little hard to read on the screen, but at the end of a turn, if you have 5 steps of friendly full-strength ships and the enemy has none, you get to place a control marker in that zone. And then that little marker is going to stay there until the British either contest it or take it over. So you basically get 1 point per zone per turn. So you don't get a lot of points, but they can really add up. And you're just basically trying to control as much of the lake as you can for as long as you can. So that's one way to earn points. Another way is, of course, the classic way is destroy the enemy squadron. And up here in the upper right of the map, you'll see a chart showing a list of all the ships in the game and how many VPs you get if you destroy it, how many VPs you get if you capture it. And you'll notice the capture VPs are worth twice as much as destroying it, because you can, in this game, if you capture fighting ship, you can actually reflag it and use it in your squadron against the enemy. It's a great way to get more ships. It's faster than building them is to just capture them from the enemy and reflag them.
I have a feeling that that might be a way for the British, if you're playing the British side. That's the one nice part about this game that I don't think we mentioned is you can play either side. You can play either the British or the American, and I'm assuming they play pretty differently because they kind of both have different resources, different goals. But it seems like capturing the ships from the Americans would be probably the best way to build up your fleet as the British, because you do have very limited fleet size on that.
It's a double win because you get VPs for it, which can be considerable. Like, look, if you capture the Oneida, that's 14 VPs all at once. But then, in addition, you've got the ship itself. So once you fix it up, you got to repair it after the battle damage, but then you can use it and increase your fleet. Another way you can earn points is through raids, and you see that Tony's assigned a raid there in the Kingston zone, and the VPs can be like 1 or 2. Then there's the Niagara Front, which is way over here on the southwest corner of the map. There we go. It's over here. It's this little track. So basically all summer long in 1813, the British and Americans, or Canadians and Americans, fought each other back and forth all across this distance between Fort George and Burlington Heights. And essentially what you're doing as the Navy is you're ferrying troops over to this end of the lake and supplies and supporting them with gunnery so that they can advance this marker to the west and eventually get to the end of the track. If you imagine like a football game where this is the end zone over here, you're trying to advance this to the end zone. And if you do at the end of the game, and only at the end of the game, you get some VPs for having the marker there. So it's a gamble because it's like you're investing missions and time and resources in this army campaign, but you don't really know until the end of the game whether you're going to get the VPs for it. On the other hand, if you don't do something over there, the British might, and then they could surprise you with a big haul of VPs at the end of the game. And then finally, if you look up at the Convoy supply track, there's a little bonus at the end of the game for whichever side is the first to advance its supply marker all the way to space 12 on the track. So there's an incentive, even after you've got your ships built and all your troops used up, you want to keep trying to get supplies and keep moving that track because there's a little 5-point bonus at the end. Just to make clear too, in the game, the victory points are positive for the Americans. So you see the blue numbers up here on this track, positive, and negative for the British. So the game score is basically the difference between the two sides. So if it's a positive game score, the Americans are winning, negative, the British are winning. So there's the quick recap.
Yep. Well, yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks for that. Because I was like, oh yeah, we got to figure out why we're playing the game first of all, and how to finish first of all. So have a comment. It says quite an eye-opening proximity of the bases and the limited number of ships that the combatants had to work with. Seems like one major engagement could have been decisive, and I would tend to agree with that. Yes. And one of the comments I had heard about this game is it's very hard to get that decisive engagement actually to occur, right? Because nobody wants to really do it unless they are way over have the capabilities. So
yes, that's exactly right. And it's interesting. You'd think that well, to me, that's a great war game situation because everything is so tense. It's so balanced that both sides need a major engagement to really win, but they can't afford to lose it. So it's almost like the situation in the North Sea in World War I with the Battle of Jutland, where you had two major fleets that were looking for each other, but they could, as it was said, they could lose the war in an afternoon.
All right, so I've got all my ships out there now, so we are good to go on that one. So we've assigned our ships, patrols. Now, Army Support, are there any U.S. troops? There are not, because they would be right here. I'll get it right sooner or later. They'd be right there if we did. So we don't have any available troops, so we don't have to worry about that.
it's time to draw your target cards.
Yes.
And I'll point out here on the naval balance track, I'm sorry, the naval balance track, it also tells you how many target cards to draw, and see the number 8. So you'll go up to the top of your screen where you see that deck.
Yep.
In the Vassal module, the target cards are already pre-shuffled for you, so it's random draw. Tony, I'd advise you to leave a space for a card there at the far left of your row. So move them both to the right a bit. Yeah, there you go. That's perfect. You may see why later. But anyway, so draw 8 cards across. Now, in a physical game, this is why Tony was saying it's a table hog. The place you draw these target cards is right onto your tabletop. You've got your deck there, and that deck is your tabletop. So you're going to need a little space to put that deck and to draw cards out, because you're going to be using that a lot during the turn.
Well, the way I'm seeing it.
Look at oh my gosh, I can't believe this. Are they all sackets? Oh,
all but this one where I don't have anything. All but that first one there.
In the sacket zone. I can't believe this.
Yep, they're all sacket zone. Are you sure they're shuffled?
I think something's fishy here. Well, if you look, Tony, if you want, just for the interest of this playthrough, to make it, more typical, you could redo that, and I would totally forgive you if you want to just redraw.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that, because I want to make, or at least
you want to see what happens when you have, how the markers all get placed, and it's just not as. But I'll point out, that's just the way it is with a game like this. Anything can happen, and it could be very interesting. So, I mean, I would encourage people to play it through normally, but for this purposes of this demonstration, we're going to redraw those target cards, because I have never in my life seen 7 out of 8 in a single zone.
Okay. So draw multiple cards. We're just going to do 8 because do it this way, and then we can pull them out, and then so we got. There we go. We got Niagara. We got. Oh, here we go. Now we're spreading it out. So.
Yeah. Okay. Good. That's better. I know there's conspiracy theories about Vassal, that, like the die rolling, especially, people will often say, "Oh, it's not really random," and I think something's fishy about it. Who knows, but I just figure it's a randomizing mechanism. Even if it's not perfectly random, it's easier than other ways. Okay.
Here we go. Now this looks a little bit more randomized, I guess, is the best way.
Yeah.
Well, I already see one positive thing. My raid in York is going to go through.
That's right.
But we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Let's explain how these cards work so people can follow along. You notice how on the back of each card is a little picture of the lake, right? All right. And you can see how there's a zone. On each card, a zone will be outlined, and it will be colored in red. And so what you're going to do basically is you look along this row of target cards at these red zones, and you look at where you assign missions. So you go to the first, you always go left to right along the row. And you start with this first card, and you see it's for the Sackett zone. And do you have missions in the Sackett zone? Yes, you do, because that's here. Now, that means your first possible encounter will be in the Sackett zone, and you take a marker, just like Tony's done, and you get, if there's more than one force of yours in that zone, you can choose where that first marker will go. And if Tony, there he goes. He puts it on that little decoy patrol he has out there with the Lady of the Lake. So the first potential encounter will be with the Lady of the Lake over there. Then you read along the next card in the row, which is also the Sackett zone. Now you have to put that next one, possible encounter 2, has to go on to the other force, which is your escorted convoy. Then you read the third zone, and there it's Niagara zone, and Tony didn't assign any ships, so you skip that. Next one down, South Lake, you don't have any assignments. But there's Sackett's again. So you're going to have a possible encounter 3. So you're supposed to try to distribute the possible encounters as evenly as possible, but you have to put this next one somewhere. So I think you can put that also on the Lady of the Lake up there.
Yep, because the
if you had a fourth one, then you'd have to go back, and put it on the other force. So you're going to have 2 there and 1 on your on your convoy. Then there's a Niagara again, another Niagara, and a third Niagara. So very possibly the British, if they have troops, may, there's a good chance they may try an army mission over there. Anyway, yeah, so that's how you place the possible encounters.
All right, so now we've got our possible encounters out there. So the next thing is basically the lake action phase, which this is kind of the meat and potatoes. We haven't got to the meat and potatoes yet. This is the meat and potatoes of there. Are there the possible encounters? So we've got the possible encounters. Now we need to check and see if there are any encounters. Right. That's our next thing.
So you'll be going in numerical order. Yep. Possible encounter 1 with the Lady of the Lake there in the Sackett zone. Mm-hmm. And you'll draw an event card from that event deck that you see on the there, and you place it over on the first space of this little sequence of play track over here.
Okay. I'm going to put it up here for right now, just so we can have it close by, because it makes it easier to see things that way.
Yeah, and also everything's designed in the Vassal module to blow up if you mouse over it, so it'll be bigger and you can read the card. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so
I'll put it over there when we're done with it, just to make sure we don't get confused. But
sure, yeah.
Everything's going to happen in the Sackett zone. So
right.
All right. So what we're looking for on this is, unfortunately, the little I spy thing at the top. So the spyglass is what we're looking for. Am I correct on that?
That's right. Yeah, you're looking for the little spyglass means there's an encounter. So you'll replace that possible encounter 1 marker with encounter 1. And yeah, there's a lot of markers in this game. Most of them are just informational or memory markers, and you can use them or not. But it's important because I felt it was important to give people as many ways to keep track of things as possible.
Yep. Okay, so now that we have an encounter, we actually have to do the encounter before we move on to another possible encounter. Am I correct? I think I read that correctly.
Play all the way through each encounter before you check the next one.
Okay. So basically, in this case, what we're going to do, so we've got this possible encounter on the patrol, is we need to reveal the target card to see if there is actually, if the British do actually resist. And to do that, we take the first one, which is going to be this card. That's why you do them in order. You don't move them around, because you're going to flip that card over. So I'm just going to pull the card down here in the lake so we can have it kind of all together.
Sure.
So then we're going to flip this card, correct?
Yes. If the icon shows the spyglass, you reveal the target card that triggered the encounter.
Okay, here we go.
Let's take a look. So you read the little, so it's a British. Now, did you decide whether you're going to play with cutting out missions or not?
No extra stuff, just the base game. So we're just going to do
so it's basically a patrol then.
Yep.
And so the British, you check if they have oh, you know what? Let's see. Hang on a second.
We have to check the patrol. Now we have to check to see if they have troops, correct?
Yeah, in the preparation phase on A8, we were supposed to check whether the British had troops available.
And that would be,
so you can flip that little troops marker over. Okay, they don't. It's an X on it. Okay, good.
So if there were troops, it would have a check mark on it. So that's just so everybody knows that.
And on the card you just drew, you've got on the left side, those rows are how many troops markers they have available. And then across the top, it shows the naval balance of power. Right now, your naval balance of power is even at -15 to +15. And the British have no troops. So you see a blank cell, which means the British do not deploy any forces on that card. So you just put that revealed card back where it was.
Yep.
And then you can flip encounter 1 to its encounter complete side.
Yep. Encounter ended. Okay. So there we go. We've got the one done.
So you just checked your first possible encounter. Now you go on to possible encounter 2.
Okay. So with this one, then we pull a card again. And I'm just going to pull it up here. There is no spyglass. It's just blank.
Great.
So
Okay. So far, so good. Of course, the British could be, you know, saving themselves to go attack your convoy, so we don't know.
that's true. So, okay. So then this one, we'll move it down to here. Okay.
Oh, and
And
when
then
there's no encounter, you just remove that
yeah,
possible encounter 2 marker, just delete it.
okay. And so now we've got one more possible encounter.
Okay. Did you delete the possible encounter 2?
Yeah, I did. Yep.
Oh,
I,
okay. I don't know. Oh, yeah, I see 3. Okay. So now you go to. Now, wasn't one of them going to be with your convoy, though? Oh, that was the last one. Now 3 is, yeah, 3 is with this Lady of the Lake again.
yep.
So you will, reveal that card. Let's see. Do a, yeah. Oh, there's an encounter. Okay, so
So
replace the marker with encounter 3. I will say to the folks watching, the game plays much faster mechanically on the tabletop because, manipulating cards and markers and the things we're doing here are all a little more fiddly when you're doing them on the screen.
yeah, it's weird. Sometimes Vassal is easier, and other times it's not. In this case,
Right.
yeah, I do agree with that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so our third card that we got that from is going to be this card right here.
Right.
So same thing. We have none. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this.
Right.
We'll take a look, and it looks like we do have one.
You do. You've got an encounter, and the British are deploying for it, and it would have been a cutting out raid, but since you're not using that rule, it's basically a British patrol. So what you'll do is you will take the British deployable force on the British home port display and place it there at your encounter 3.
There we go.
There you go. So they're encountering the Lady of the Lake. And the question will be, will the British attack? And if so, can the Lady of the Lake get away? And on the other hand, if it can't, well, you haven't lost too much by losing that ship. So the first thing you'll do is draw another event card for the starting weather gauge and the lake event. So your lake event is haze. So take a marker for events for the haze event and place it in the middle of the Sackett zone.
Oh, that's right, because it stays the whole.
That stays there for the whole, for any encounters that happen there. Although you're not going to have any more, I don't think. So, but anyway, haze is the effect. And if you did have combat, this event would create a special situation. So in the first lake combat gunnery round 1, do not count either side's long gun strength. After that, the haze burns off and has no further effect. So fortunately for you, if you look at the middle of that card on the right side, see that little American flag with the A on it? It means the Americans have the starting weather gauge. And weather gauge was very important in the era of fighting sail. It meant you had the wind advantage. And that also gave you an amount of initiative to either initiate combat or if you want to avoid combat. So in this case, in this game, only the side with the weather gauge is allowed to attack. So this means the British can't attack, and the Lady of the Lake is elusive, and this will end the encounter because it will end the patrol segment of the encounter, but then there's going to be a reaction segment. Although the British have nothing to react with, so they're already all there. However, if you wanted a battle, you could try to react with your other American ships. You've got ships in the Kingston zone where they're on patrol and they're only one zone away. And you've got your escort force, you probably just want to leave alone. But if you are looking for a fight, you could try to get one in the reaction segment of this
I
encounter.
I have a feeling that's not a good idea. Just
No, I would agree with you there. Yeah.
I have to have like not all of the ships in one place to feel like it was something I'd be wanting to do.
Yeah, and it's only the first turn, and there's no reason to get so desperate for it. I think it's a real, and plus, I think the British could have an advantage there. So, yeah. So in that case, you would, let's see.
So this is where I kind of got a little stuck is since so basically I passed, I'm not going to attack.
Right.
And there's a reaction phase, but it only count the reaction. Do you check the weather gauge again?
Yes, you would. Yes, you would, because the wind could shift, and the British could have the weather gauge for the reaction segment, in which case they would attack.
Okay, so we have to pull another card to look for the.
Yeah, if you look under on that track, it'll tell you also. You know, like if they're still engaged, which they are. I mean, you've got a full strength ship versus full strength British ships, and you still have an active encounter going on. So if you've made the reaction checks, then you draw an event card, and you place it for the starting weather gauge in the reaction segment.
Okay, so so this could still be a battle, or they still could attack in this case.
Yes, you're checking to see. Nope, you got the weather gauge again.
But I got the weather gauge, so I'm okay on that one. All right.
Okay, so that ends encounter 3. Flip that to encounter complete.
Yep.
And
all right, and that's it for the encounters that I have.
Right. So at that point, you look to see if there's any more enemy ships that are deployable. They're not. So you're going to skip the enemy ops phase. You're going to skip breakout attacks, and you're going to go to E, the coastal action phase.
Okay.
And that's where you resolve the things that happen on land or on the coast. We're not doing cutting out missions, but this is where you do raids. So what you do is you do have a raid over here in York. Why don't we resolve that one first?
Okay.
And all you have to do with that is draw an event card and place it there on that coastal action phase box of the track. That's for a land event. Oh, this is interesting. Let's see. Your land event is intelligence. For the next encounter involving the enemy flagship, all reaction checks, if any, benefit from a +1 die roll modifier, and no negatives apply. If no such encounter occurs by the end of next turn, this event is void. Keep this card out of the event deck and near the attacking side's home port as a reminder to apply this event next turn. So you've got some really interesting things going on here where maybe a deserter came in, and told you where the British were going to go next or something like that. Or maybe you intercepted some orders or something. But basically, if you need to do a reaction check to try to get your ship somewhere on the lake where the British flagship is operating, you get a +1 die roll modifier to that reaction check. So keep that card over near your home port display for next turn.
Okay. Oh, I got an idea.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh,
yeah, that's a good place for it. Okay. So that was your Lake Zone event. And so now all you do is you move that raid marker over onto that blue box above the word York. Yeah, just put it there as a reminder that you raided it. Now go over to the Kingston Zone and do the same thing for your raid in the Kingston Zone.
Okay.
Draw an event card for a land event. This one is
requisition. Okay. This event only affects drawing signed force conducting Army support missions. Okay, so
you don't have to worry about it.
Yep.
What this means, though, is let's just, for the sake of argument, if you had been doing an Army support mission where you were landing troops, like an amphibious mission somewhere, this means the Army is going to take one of your ships to carry reinforcements and wounded. So This is very inconvenient because you want all the ships for the Navy's purposes, and the Army's taking one of them. So that's not a good event for you, but you don't have to worry about it.
Yep. So this raid was successful
raid
as well.
marker on the Kingston raid box there. Okay, that's great. And then let's see. You don't have any Army support missions on the map.
Nope.
So we're done with the coastal action phase, and we go to the tally and reset phase for the first turn. This is basically, some war games, people are used to tallying victory points as they go. In this game, you pretty much play out all the action for a turn, and then you go into a tallying phase at the end of the turn where you total everything up on both sides and then reset it for the next turn. So you go in order down the list of things to do. First thing you're going to look for is captured or destroyed ships. You don't have any, so no points there for either side. Next one would be lake zone control. Now that's where you look at where the ships ended up. Let's see. So you notice in Kingston here, the British don't have any full-strength ships, and you only need 5 steps of friendly full-strength ships. How many do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh yeah, you got plenty. So what you do is you will place a lake control marker in the Kingston zone. I would put it like right in the middle of the lake there. An American lake. Yep, there you go. And you see how it says on the marker 1 VP. So what you'll do is up here on the victory track, you'll take this victory points marker and put it over on +1.
Mm-hmm.
That's your first point. Then let's take a look at the other zone where there's ships. Well, you would normally be in some trouble here because of all those steps of British ships in your Sackett zone, but there would also have to be no American full-strength ships, and actually you've got 3 full-strength ships. So the British, this zone would be what we call contested, which means neither side places a lake control marker on there. So that's that one. And then where else do we have ships? We've got one in New York, but that's only 1 step, so you don't get any control for it. So we've already taken care of lake control.
Okay.
Then we look at land battle effects. We don't do that. Raid VPs. Okay, this is where we look at your raids. You have a raid in Kingston worth 2 VPs, so move your victory points from 1 to 3.
Okay.
Then you have a raid in New York that was successful, and you have a victory point of 1, so move it from 3 to 4. And then we adjust the convoy supply tracks. Here's where we set.
When do we do the roll for the raid? Was that?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for now. I think this might be where we do it now. So each successful raid marker is going to change the convoy supply as well. And you can see that what a raid does essentially is you landed, typically these took place at night, and you would land some Marines or some naval forces where you believe the British had some supplies, like gunpowder, rope, shipbuilding supplies, anything militarily useful, maybe food, even flour barrels. And you would go ashore and you would steal whatever you could for your own side, and you would destroy whatever you could for their side. So you can see that what a raid does is it increases your convoy supply by 1 and takes the British down by 1. So go up to your convoy supply marker.
I have to roll first, though, for each. And I see where that is. It's other convoy supply adjustments. So the first thing is the convoy, which I actually had a convoy. If the U.S. convoy marker is in the current space of the turn track, there's no enemy blockade in the marker, and the convoy doesn't have a delay marker on it.
Right.
The convoy is successful.
You go 2 spaces on the track.
Yep.
for your
So,
successful convoy. Yeah.
Yep. So we go up to 3. So
Right. And then
it says for other convoy, it's successful raids. For each raid marker on the side, roll 1d6 on a result of 5 to 6. Advance the rating marker. Convoy is 1 space to the right, and so I've got to roll a 1 to 5 or 5 to 6. Sorry, a 1 to 5. That's way too easy. So I'm going to be going 1. I got to roll 1d6. Oh, I got a 5. So
okay.
mine goes up 1, and his goes
Down.
Can he go? Yeah, he can go below. Can he?
Yeah.
So he goes to 0.
Yeah. And then check for the other one, the other raid.
Yep. Oh, I got a 6. Wow, I'm rolling good.
Yeah.
So he goes down to -1. Interesting.
Yeah, and you go up 1.
Yep. Well, that just about clears all my my troops at that point.
Yeah. Let me just double check that about the convoy supply track and whether it can go below 0. I just want to make sure about that. Maybe it can. I can't remember.
Okay. We had no British convoys.
No. Okay.
It does say go left 1 space.
Yeah.
Now, obviously can't go any farther because it's at the bottom.
Okay.
So
I don't think it can go below 0.
okay, like 0 is the lowest it can go. Like,
I
but
believe so, but I don't want to waste time looking for where it mentions that.
Yeah.
But let's just say 0 is as far as it goes.
Yeah, 0 is as far as it can go. Okay. Yeah, that works. That's fine. All right, so that's the successful raids, and so then we have fall offensive to bonus. We are not to that point because that's the 12 spots here.
Right.
Blockade check. This step is placement for blockades.
Yeah. Now that's just in the home port zones. Like for the British to blockade you, they would have to first precondition is they have to control the Sackett zone, which they don't. So you don't have to worry about that.
Yep.
The other thing, though, but you do control the Kingston zone, and there's no enemy ships in the lake zone. That's the second condition. And the third one is, do you have at least 4 main ships of full strength? Yes, you do. You've got exactly 4 ships of full strength. So what you do is you place a blockade marker, a U.S. blockade marker in the Kingston zone.
So not only do I control it, I got a blockade on it too.
Yes.
That's pretty sweet.
Yes. Yeah, that's interesting.
So now if isolated ships, any ships were deployed to a lake zone when the enemy blockade was marked, they mark them now isolated. Ooh.
Yeah.
So all the British ones are now isolated.
That's right. And that matters because of the way you reset for the next turn.
Remove all the...
This is where we do a little housekeeping for the next turn. Your full strength ships go to the deployable area of your home port display. They go back there. So the Americans you can put back where they started.
Okay. I believe.
Do you want me to help you with that, or?
No, I got that part.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay, good.
Got it. Yeah. Oh, one more. There we go.
And then you've got your Ontario up there in the Kingston. Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. Okay. And then now this is the difference, is because the British ships are blockaded out of their home port, they can't go there. So they will go, you see on the British home port display, there's a column called isolated. Yep. And they use York as a temporary home port. So instead of going back to Kingston, they are now going to be operating out of York on the west end of the lake next turn.
Ooh, that'll
Yeah.
be interesting. I have a feeling I need to keep Kingston and blockaded as much as possible because that will really help me.
Yeah. And in order to do that, you just got to make sure that at the end of next turn, you've still got 5 steps of ships there and no full strength British ships. So you would just have to commit some ships to it again. But if you want to maintain the blockade. So then the rest of it is basically housekeeping. You're going to put your cards back into their decks and all that. And get rid of the markers on the map, but keep those keep your lake control marker and blockade marker on there.
There we go. Oh yeah, all the encounters and stuff like that.
And the raid markers go away. And yeah, the ones that stay are the lake control and blockade markers. The events go away, all that stuff.
What the heck happened here?
Oh, you still got an American ship in New York.
There we go. There we go. Now we're all set. So now the isolated actually says remove all the certain target cards. Yeah. So
yeah, there's a certain thing you'll be doing next turn.
So I'm going to go ahead and put this up here by there just as a reminder.
Okay. Quick. Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
So that way I don't forget.
Yeah. And you still have an American ship in the York zone. The Hamilton is still sitting there. Put him in his home port.
I got it. Yep, got it.
Get rid of the and then get rid of those raid markers.
Okay.
Okay. And then we'll move the turn marker 1 space.
Did we forget to see if the convoy, if the British actually had a convoy?
You gotta check that, because when you move that convoy supply track, that's really important. This
they didn't. They didn't have a convoy, so we actually will definitely have a British convoy this month for sure.
Oh yeah, there will be one, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So.
Okay, flip any convoy delay markers. Convoy arrived.
Also move newly available troops from the convoy supply track to the troops available box. So what you will do is you're actually going to have all 3 of your army troops available, because you see that if you look at your convoy supply track, your marker has on or past those. Yeah. So you put all 3 of them in your available box. And then
from what I remember on the rules, I actually have to do something with these. They can't just sit there.
Well, they can sit there, but you pay a VP penalty if you don't use them.
Okay. Now, do you have to use all of them, or just
it's a little bit of the army being mad at you because you're not, they're ready to fight and they need you for transportation and you're not listening to them.
Oh, those Army Navy conflicts, yeah.
They're
as old as time.
Yeah, no, it was quite a serious issue in this campaign. Both sides had it. And then you can get rid of the British AI troops marker that turned out not to be troops. And the British won't have another marker because they don't have the supply to do it. Thanks to your raids, you see, you moved that marker so far to the left that their troops markers, that marker now needs to move to the right to get to those troops markers in order to make them available. So that's how supply works in the game.
Which keeping their supply low is vital to keeping things going the right way. So, Yeah.
And you're going to also get a bonus from your supply in that you will be able to move the General Pike into the make ready box next turn. So that's good. So did you move the game turn to June 2? Yes, you did. Okay.
Yep.
So Do we have any questions before we get underway with turn?
Nope. Everybody seems to be going, and actually, it's getting more clear the more it makes more sense the more I go through this. So, which is really cool. That's
that's great.
Hopefully everybody else is getting that too, because I like it. Because the battling actually isn't that hard. After reading the rules on that, I'm like, oh, that's easy. It's just getting to the battle board sometimes can be a little confusing at the same time.
Yeah, because it is very abstracted, and you're taking those ship counters and moving them to the battle board, and then you're putting them back where they were after the battle's over and doing various things with them. So yeah, it can get tricky sometimes.
Okay, so we'll get one more. I think we can get one more turn in, and then it'll be a good session, and I think we'll get everything kind of covered on that, and then maybe we'll play around with a battle or something just to kind of show off how like a battle would go.
You know what we could do if you want? There's in the extended examples of play, for example, in the playbook, there's a battle that we could set up.
Yeah, and then just run it and see how we do it. Yeah.
How it works. Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, I think if we can get through 2 turns, which I know we can, and then we can set up that battle and just see how it plays out between us.
Yeah.
And our die rolling and that. So
yeah.
That'd be just to show that. Okay. So now we are schedule a convoy. Well, I can't schedule a convoy because I did that last term. You only get 1 per month.
1 a month.
And I did that. So I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
New ships. I do have a new ship that's ready because of that.
Well, let's see. If it was in make ready, it would become deployable, but you don't have that yet.
So what do I do? So I move the General Pike in A5.
Don't touch the General Pike just yet. We have to kind of go step by step. Otherwise, this is one thing I advise players, especially new ones, really, follow that sequence of play exactly in order because it can get confusing. You will get to that General Pike in a little while, but it's not.
I realize that now because
So just ask yourself, do I have any ships in make ready? No. Okay. No. So on to the next step.
Repairs. And so do we have any in repairs? No, there are none repairing.
Okay. Next step.
Joe Cressy said he ordered the game before we even finished the turn. Awesome. Good job. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Okay. In ordinary.
Now let me explain what that is. Each side had severe manpower shortages. There was also a great deal of sickness here. So both sides were struggling to have adequate numbers of competent crew on their ships. And so there is a limit to how many ships you can operate at one time, because as I said before, you can capture enemy ships and put them in your squadron, but only up to a point, because after a while, who's going to sail those ships if you don't have enough trained sailors to do it? So that's just a safeguard that there's a limit in the game. I think it might be 30 close action points worth of ships. You're nowhere close.
It states it on the it states it right here, 30 close action points.
That's your maximum size of your deployable squadron. So what happens if you captured, let's say, 3 British ships last turn and it put you over that limit? This is where you check that. If you're over the limit, then what you have to do is take some of the ships you have out of active service and put them into what's called in ordinary, which is a little box down on your home port display. And what that meant was the navies at that time, they would take some ships and they would take the masts off them. They would strip the guns off them. They would just basically park them in the harbor, until they needed them again. And it just basically pays to park ships that aren't part of your active squadron. So that's where you put them if you have too many.
And that answered a question that I was like, I'm adding all these up. There's not even enough to get the 30 points. I didn't even think about the captured boats. So that answers a question that I was like, well, why 30 points? There's like not even enough for 30 points here.
Right.
It's like not even close. And the whole idea of the capturing didn't even come to my mind. And then that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Yeah. Because it would be unrealistic to just let you have an unlimited number of ships. And, you have some constraints based on the manpower that was available.
And Mike H says, once you get over the initial grokking the mechanics, common in all war games, which is true, This game flows so procedurally smooth. It's a very engaging solitaire design. So, great
well, that's
compliment
great
there.
to hear. I'm really happy to hear that. I am,
So,
because as a designer, I hear little bits and pieces of feedback, but I don't really know how it's going over there on the table. So that's great to know.
okay, so now we do naval construction. So for both sides, check the convoy supply track, which
Right.
the
Now's
British
where
doesn't
we
have
deal with
any.
the pike. Yeah, you look at your track and you see where's your convoy marker. You're on box 5, and look, you passed box 4, which says move General Pike from construction to make ready if your construction delay value is 0. That's important. See, there's this little marker on your track called construction delay. What that represents is, well, you probably know if you've ever had any work done on your house. When you get a contractor and they say, oh, we can have a deck built for you in the back in 3 days. Well, yeah, but if one of the workers gets sick or they don't show up, you're going to start having accumulating delays or, cost overruns and everything. So this is what that represents is each side has a construction delay value, which is 0 at the beginning, but various things can happen in the game that could cause this cumulative construction delay, and you track that with that marker. So essentially what that means is, yes, the General Pike is ready to go to make ready from construction, but that's only if you don't have any backlogs, because of delays that have accumulated on it. So right now you don't. And so, yes, you can move that General Pike over to make ready, which you just did. And that's very exciting. So it's still in the harbor, and make ready essentially means that now they're actually putting ammunition on the ship. They're putting stores and food on there. They're getting the crew used to the ship and really basically getting it all ready to start to be ready to fight. But it's not ready yet.
That's pretty cool. I didn't even think about the 0 delay. So basically, if you had a delay, you would move that over one to the left instead of putting it into make ready. Am I correct on that?
Yeah. And then once all the backlog is eliminated, then you can move the ship to make ready. You can also purchase a reduction in construction delay. This is another little bit of chrome, but it makes sense. Like, let's say your contractor said, well, I had a few guys on the crew sick and we had some bad weather, so it's going to be a couple of days more to get your deck finished. And then you say, well, if I give you another 5 men on your construction crew, could you still do it on schedule? And they'd say, sure. So here's how you can do it in the game. You can take some of your ships, and if you want to put some ships in ordinary, like I was just describing, where you take them out of service, you can basically take those Navy crews and put them to work on construction of ship. So on making the ship ready to go. So if you wanted to, this is only if you had a construction delay. You don't, but
Okay.
if it was, let's say the value was 1 right now of construction delay, it might make sense to get the General Pike ready sooner. So I would take a ship out at that point and then use that to buy to buy a reduction in construction.
Yeah, because that General Pike is pretty powerful. So
it's a monster. Yeah, for Lake Ontario, it was a monster. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's almost ship of the line kind of level there, almost.
I guess in Napoleonic terms, it would be like really just a frigate, but on Lake Ontario, that's big.
That's the 800-pound gorilla, as they would say on the lake at that point. Yeah.
So that was your naval construction, and then you check the naval balance, which is unchanged because nobody lost any ships.
Well, not so. Is that ships or points?
Well, it's based on the ships in the squadron.
Okay, got it. So if you lose points from capture,
let me define that for you. The naval balance. It's you total up the if captured value of both sides' ships.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. For some reason, I was thinking it was the victory points. So, which wouldn't have moved it anyways because I'm only +4. But so it's actually just the captured victory points.
Take the if captured BP value of all the U.S. ships and subtract the total if captured value of British ships, deployable ones only, and then that number represents the overall naval advantage of the Americans this turn.
So this is kind of where the even, well, you can see it starting out even because of that, the victory points and stuff like that. So
right,
okay, got it.
Yeah. So now we're back to seeing
assigning ships.
You got to assign your ships first before you know whether the AI has troops.
And you better believe I'm putting 5 steps, at least 5 steps in Kingston.
Yeah, but on the other hand, yeah, and another thing is you've got 3 troops, and now we don't have the land combat table in the module, so unfortunately I can't show.
Yeah,
can't show it
on the module.
But basically, the more troops and long guns you have to put into an army support mission, the more chance you have of success. And I find that generally to get a good chance of success, especially against something like the enemy home port, like Kingston Harbor, you kind of sometimes need like 3, you need all 3 of them, to really get a good chance of success. But anyway, that's up to you. You can, but you could kill 2 birds with 1 stone, because you could assign a big force to the Kingston zone to maintain your blockade, but you could also transport those 3 troops and land them in Kingston to take advantage of the fact that the fleet is not there and burn the place down.
I think that'll be fun to do. So if we can do that, let's go ahead and do that.
Yeah, you could go all out and put all your ships there, or maybe just now remember, the one thing I saw someone forget this to their own peril recently. They got so intent on attacking Kingston that they forgot that the British, even though they're blockaded, they're still operating from York, and they can still do missions on the lake, including attacking your home port while you're not there. So you may consider having some sort of a force and a patrol, 1 or 2 patrols or something, just to catch the British if they're trying something like that.
Okay. Yeah. So what I think I'll do is I'll take, I think I'm going to take kind of my 3 larger units here. The General Tompkins, Governor Tompkins, not General, Governor Tompkins, Oneida, and Madison. Now they're going to do would they be doing the Army support mission?
Well, yes, they can. There's one thing to bear in mind with Army support missions, which is that you have to have a certain close action strength in a force to be capable of carrying a certain number of troops. So let's see what you've got here. You've got 2. No, wait, I'm adding the wrong number. It's on the bottom left. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, that's 10 points. That's quite a bit. I think you're fine. I'm just going to look up how many. Yeah, under troop transport, page 25. I'm just going to double check. Let's see. One troops marker for every 4 close action strength points. So you have 3 times 4. So you only need a minimum of 12 close action points to transport them. But yeah, so you could put all 3 of those troops markers within that force there. Just put them with those ships.
And I'd have to add 2 more points close action.
Let's see,
because I only have 10 and we need.
Oh, you only have 10. Okay, so yeah, you need 2 more close action points to carry.
Which I can do that.
But now you don't have to put them all in one force. If you choose, and I don't know how you want to do it, but you can also have another patrol with just 1 troops marker on it. You know what I mean? You can split them up if you want to.
Okay.
As far as how you transport them.
So now the Army support, is that a particular mission, or do you put that as a patrol?
It's a particular mission, but the troops themselves serve as the mission marker, because it would just be kind of redundant. I mean, they wouldn't be there if it wasn't an Army support mission. So I didn't make a separate Army support marker for that.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to put these 2 on a patrol. Okay. And that would end up totaling the 12 points I would need at that point.
Are you so you're adding those to your wait, let's see. No,
Does it
you
have to be all one? You said you could
they
split
have
them
to
up.
be in one for well, no, if you want all three of them in that force on the left, then you need to have those ships added to that
Okay.
force.
There we
Yeah.
go. I'll do it. Yeah. So they're added to the force.
Or you could, take another force with just 4 close action points and put 1 troops marker on it,
Oh, okay. So I could do something
Yeah, you could.
like this.
Yes, they
And
could
have
take
these.
on. And
these
now
guys-
you would need 8 points. What have you got there? 3, 4,
Okay.
5. Well, you got 5, 6, 7, 8, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So you can do it that way if you prefer.
Okay.
And
Yep.
now that's not a patrol, that's an Army support mission too.
Okay. And then
Yeah,
what I
why not?
would.
Let's see what happens with that. Now, here's why you might do that. You saw before how we placed those possible encounter markers.
Mhm.
Now, the more forces you have in a zone, the more you've spread them out. So like if you had all your eggs in one basket where all those troops markers were just on one force being
Yep.
transported, then if there's any encounters in that zone, that's where the British are going to go. But by having the troops spread out among 2 different forces, that means that if there's one encounter, you could put it with the one that just has 1 troops, and maybe your force that has 2 troops on it won't even have an encounter and it'll get through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's what I was like. Well, that makes sense to split them up for that particular reason. So yeah.
Yeah. On the other
Oh.
hand, the disadvantage is that those 2 ships that are by themselves aren't very powerful. So if they encounter the British, they could get eliminated, and you lose those troops as well. And
Yeah, it's a risk. It's a risk. It's like you're hedging your bet. You got a risk reward. No general's ever automatically once done something where they automatically win. You always try to figure out. You hedge your bets as much as. If I can get 2 guys over and maybe sacrifice 1, yeah, I don't want it to happen, but that's better than losing them all, possibly.
do you want to put some patrols in the Sackett zone there to catch the British if they try to come in? Now, one thing to bear in mind is the British don't have any troops available this turn because of what you did to their supplies. You can see there's no AI troops marker in that troops available box. So you don't have to worry that they're coming in with troops to attack Sackett's Harbor, but they could be coming, and you're not running a convoy, so you don't have to worry about that.
Nope.
But you do have to worry that they might send enough ships to seize control of your zone and blockade you, or they might even be trying a raid on Oswego or on Sackett's Harbor. So it's a good idea to have something there to catch them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're good. I think I'm gonna go with that one. Do I want to send a raid out over to York? Can you actually raid Kingston Harbor as well too if you're doing an Army support mission, or do they kind of cancel that one out?
No, you can. Yes, you can raid. You can have 1 raid per zone per turn. So
Okay.
you could do a separate mission. It can't be the same force. You'd have to send some different ship. Yeah, but you could put 1 ship there to raid. Well, you're really going after that zone. You've got troops landing. You've got ships all over the place. I think the British would be. You could have one heck of a battle if the British do show up there. Also get rid of that haze event that's in the.
Oh,
yeah.
Yep. You're right.
The haze has cleared now.
Yeah.
All right. It burned off. All right.
All right. And then why not? Let's throw another raid over in York. I think we'll do that.
Oh, poor old York.
See
Okay.
if we can raid them again.
Remember, the British are operating out of York, so there's a good chance you'll be found. But
yeah, I'm just sending the ASP anyway. So
okay, yeah. I like that you're being aggressive enough because you got to do something each turn to keep things moving along and gain those VPs.
Yep.
You've only got 8
All right.
turns.
So
Yeah.
I think I'm good for what I want to do right now.
Okay.
So we've done that. So check AI troops availability. We already know there's not one, so we don't have to worry about that.
Right.
Shuffle the target cards. Now, the target cards, there are certain cards I will not use.
That's right. We do have to what do you call it? Adjust the target deck right now, which is tricky in Vassal. but I'll tell you how to do it. You right click on the deck
Yep.
and you see the draw specific cards.
Yep.
Okay, and you see if you scroll down this list, you'll see, I'll make it as long as possible.
Remove when AI has isolated
right,
ships.
Right. So I think is it shift click or control?
Yeah, select card. Yep. I think
you can select multiple individual cards by, I think, control click or shift click. I can't remember.
Control click. Yep.
Control click. So you can go down that list and control click those cards that say remove when the AI has these isolated ships.
I see there's also some that are a final end game turn. They don't.
And what'll happen is after you've selected all those, you hit OK, and then you can drag them out of that deck over to discards all in one big lump.
Nice. Okay.
But it's one of those things where it's just Vassal is, yeah. Now, oh, I see what it did. I think when you put the cards back in the deck, you have to flip them back first to their unrevealed side. Otherwise, what'll happen is when you do what you just did, well, yeah, like when you put them away at the end of last turn, if any of them weren't flipped over, then what'll happen is you may see some of them inadvertently when you put them in. It doesn't really matter, but
when I discard them, when they get discarded, they automatically flip over when they get discarded.
Oh, okay, no problem.
So yeah,
it doesn't.
All right. So so now I draw my target cards, and I will be drawing. So I can. I'll keep this out just to be safe. So I can draw 8 cards.
Yeah.
Multiple cards, draw 8. Just easier that way.
Yeah. Let me see here. I'm just going to check a couple things about blockade effects to make sure we're doing everything right. Page 42, effects of blockades. Let's see. All right, isolated ships, yeah. Okay, they're deployable, yeah. Okay. Just to point out, here's the value of a blockade, okay, is that if any British ships had been in Kingston Harbor, like on that display off map, they would have been bottled up in the port and wouldn't be able to be assigned any missions. And that would have been true too, like for ships under repair. Let's see. Okay.
All right, I got my target cards out, ready to go.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we'll check possible encounters.
It's not looking the best, honestly. It's not bad.
Yeah. But it looks like you've got a few.
Yep. So I have one potential. Right now I have one potential in potential counters. There we go. Possible counters. So I have the first one is going to go after the raid.
Okay. Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Possible encounter 2 is going to go after this patrol here. There's only one group in there, so that's a problem. And 3.
Yeah, so there'll be another possible encounter with that.
4 actually they decided to go after mine in York.
Yeah.
This is to me what our first turn was still like it was way too easy. This is where I thought what would really happen happened. So.
Well, also you can see the AI is learning. Like, this is what I like about it is there's these little, it's a dynamic AI. It isn't just a randomizing mechanism. The AI knows a lot about what the game state is. And because of this adjustment to the target deck, it's adjusting the way it's deploying its ships.
Wow. Yeah. Sakic is getting absolutely lambasted.
Mm-hmm.
I only had one that didn't have a target.
Mm.
But I was able to on Kingston. I was actually able to keep my main force, my main army support force, from getting a possible encounter. So that was
Oh,
I was
that is
kind of glad
good.
I did that. So.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so now we've got our possible encounter. So we go through the encounter. So we start with 1, which is going to be this Kingston right here.
Right.
So we're going to pull a card.
Oh, there's an encounter.
There's an encounter. Okay. So let me scroll out and we'll put that down here.
Okay.
And that's the first one. So
I'll reveal the card.
Yep. And there is a boat. All the boats are going to go after that raid.
Yep. Okay. You're going to have some interesting action up there in the Kingston zone. It might get a little crowded with the counters up in there.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens.
You can stack them. You know, I see that.
I like them out like this. It's pretty good this way.
It's
so
better, easier to read them that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, I forgot. This needs to be to encounter 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's encounter 1.
That's right.
Which will be the only encounter.
Yeah.
Because all the ships are deployed now, so none of the other potentials will work because they're all going after this raid. They're ignoring the army troop ships. They're like, that one ship. We're going after that one ship.
Well, okay, here's something I'll say. I know, and we're joking around.
Yeah.
But it's important to note, and I have this question come up a lot. It's important to realize the scale of the game. Okay,
Yeah.
This is an operational game. And if you look at the turn track, you'll see there's only 2 turns per month. So a turn in game terms is like maybe, 2 weeks, right? So think of everything that could happen in a 2-week period in that part of the lake. So just because there's a raid there doesn't mean that that's happening at the same time.
They could have been.
This represents all the action that's going on in that part of the lake in that period of time. So people will say, well, gosh, that doesn't, how is it the British are doing this and they don't see I've got all these troops? Well, it might be that you sent the raid in to attract the British attention first, and then maybe under cover of darkness, your squadron came up with full of troops, and then the next morning in the fog, they landed. Who knows, right? It's all below the level.
It makes sense because it's a 2-week period. This could be like, I sent the raid to kind of draw them off. Okay, he's raided. He's not going to do anything. And then all of a sudden show up when all the boats are headed back to York because they're blockaded from Kingston Harbor now.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So now we have to do the encounter because it is an encounter and they are, attaching it. So first thing we do on the encounter is to draw an event card.
Yes, for the lake event and the starting weather gauge in the encounter.
Yes. Okay, here we go. Lake event. Hey,
you got the American weather gauge again. Lucky you.
Yep, and we got a haze, so that's.
And you got haze again. That's not generally good for the Americans, but it won't matter because that means that the patrol segment will end since you'll pass on that segment. You don't want to attack them with that one ship. And then you'll go to the reaction segment. The British can't react because all their ships are already there.
I'm not going to react.
But you can if you want, but I don't think you'd want to. You'd just want to.
No, I really don't.
But you will have to draw another card for the reaction segment to see whether the British see the wind changed, and now the British have the weather gauge. Okay.
So I'm glad this happened because now we can show what happens next.
Yeah, the British will attack now. And it's the reaction segment. So it's reaction segment lake combat. And let's see, you would, we can use the battle board. It's probably not going to be a very interesting or involved battle because it's all these British ships versus your tiny little Lady of the Lake. However, the Lady of the Lake does kind of have a fighting chance because it's, as I said, it's a fast ship with 2 steps. So it could actually survive a hit and maybe still get away. We'll see.
Yep. Well, yeah, and we won't do the battle board because of that, and we'll,
Okay.
if we get a chance to set up a battle real quick, we can do that.
Yeah.
With that. So, all right. So we do late combat. So reaction segment, yes, it is. So we go to the late combat, which is, let's see here. Where's that at? I know it's in here because I read it last night.
Yeah, and you can see if you click the button that says late combat sequences of play.
Oh, there it is. That's what I was looking for. Okay,
Yeah.
and it's gonna start with the combat with the British attack. So
Right.
it's gonna do.
And this is something to point out. One of the unusual features of A Glorious Chance is everybody's, used to war games where you have a combat sequence of play or a sequence of play, but usually there's just one sequence, right? Well, this game actually has a different combat sequence when the British attack and another different sequence when the Americans are attacking. But what's also interesting is because the weather gauge, I mentioned how it's so important for a side to have it. You notice if you look along the track, you go to gunnery round 1, check for hits, but then you recheck the weather gauge, which means that you could be going along as the Americans and attacking, but suddenly the wind shifts and now the British are attacking. So the marker starts over here and now you're starting the British attack sequence. So you can have the weather gauge shift during the middle of an encounter in a battle and turn the tables. It really can be quite interesting when that happens.
And that's actually what happened with the Battle of Put in Bay is they were sitting ducks. The Americans were sitting ducks in the bay, in the area. And then all of a sudden the wind changed and they had the advantage and they annihilated, the British force here in Lake Erie. So yes, that's one thing that's happened. I don't want to say regularly, but it's something that does happen.
Yeah.
Okay. So the British will attack if they have the weather gauge.
Yes.
They're unmodified. So there's 4 conditions. I'm just going to go over this for everybody so that we've got it, or 3 conditions. If they have the weather gauge, if the force is unmodified, carronade strength plus defense strength is greater than that of the American player side. Well, we know that because I have 0. So, yeah. And the attack must be made at odds better of 1 to 1. Well, yes.
Yeah, we know that will be 2.
Okay.
It's probably on the maximum. I think it's probably going to be on the maximum column of the. Maybe we'll have to add it up and see. And this gives us a chance to say how the combat formula works too.
Yep. Okay. So we are good there. Okay. So now we got to draw the tactics because the force is pretty much assembled already. I've got it already assembled. So.
You're going to attack with all. Now here's something though. I guess the British will attack with all their ships. What's interesting is if you're the one attacking, the human player, sometimes you don't necessarily want to send any more ships into the attack than you need to, because
that would make sense. So if you know what the odds are, like if they have 1 ship and you have a whole bunch, but you only need enough to get a good odds.
There are some die roll results where the attacker takes a hit. So, why put more ships in harm's way than you need to? They could get a lucky shot. They could even kill your Commodore or something. So generally, if it was the Americans, you might want to be judicious about how much force you use in an attack. But
so now we need to draw and select tactic cards.
Yeah.
So the procedure for the American player, draw 4 tactics cards. So that would be, I'm the defender since I'm the American. So I draw 4 defender tactic cards.
Yeah. Just draw them out onto the sheet here. Yeah.
3 and 4.
Okay.
And then I'll flip those.
Yeah.
When one just got stacked.
Okay.
No, they all got stacked. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Let's see here. Let's see. And I think maybe one didn't get stacked. Okay. Maybe I'll grab one more here.
Okay. Sure.
There we go. Flip. Okay. So I have repel, open range, outmaneuver, and escape.
Yeah.
Now I know we need to look at the event card that I called that.
Exactly. So let's see. And that can be tricky in Vassal because you're looking back at the card. Where is the card you used for this particular encounter? Is that on the track? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, this is good news because did we apply the Lake Zone event?
Yeah, it's the haze.
Oh, right.
Oh, wait, no, do we do a Lake Zone event as well?
Well, when there's that starting weather gauge card is the one you use for the.
Yeah, that was the haze. Yeah, that was the haze.
Okay, that's
Yep.
fine. That's fine.
Yep. So this next card here, we checked for the weather gauge, and it was there for that's where the British got the advantage.
Okay. And I'm looking at the British one, and if you look in the middle of that card, you see how on the other cards there's these icons like the clubs and hearts and squares. But you notice on this card that's in effect now, that's got the British weather gauge, it's blank along that middle bar. That tells you that basically every tactic is valid, because on those other cards, those symbols indicate which tactics can't be used. So there's no limit on which tactics are useful, which is great because I noticed one of the tactics you drew was escape, I think. Let's see.
Yep, escape. Yep.
Yeah. Now the nice thing about the Lady of the Lake is that as a fast ship, it automatically disengages. But I mean, but escape is a very useful card.
So add a DW result to the next lake combat results. In addition to any defender ships that are hit in that round automatically pass their disengagement check.
Yeah.
So basically, it allows you to disengage. You do one round of combat, and this would be interesting because we don't have the long range strength on this because of the haze.
Yeah.
So I think I am going to go ahead and use the escape card.
Okay. And folks, the point of these tactics cards is that it prevents the game from just being another, crunch the numbers and calculate the odds and roll the dice exercise. It adds a lot of nautical flavor to the game, because it tells a little story. And also it makes the combat a little more spicy, like there's little things that can happen that simulate tactical events or battle plans, basically. And it just, to me, it really is a nice part of the game because it fills out the narrative. So instead of just knowing that, oh, I lost a ship and the enemy won or whatever, you get a little more insight into what happened in the battle.
Okay, so it says to draw 5 for the British.
Yeah.
So I've got. So they have. Come on, don't worry. There we go.
What you do is you draw 5 for the British, and you get rid of any dummy ones.
Okay, so we got one dummy one, so that goes away. Yeah. Then you're supposed to get rid of the ones you can't use.
Right.
Which in this case we can use all of them. So
because you can use any of those 4, but you don't get to pick them. They're drawn. You take those valid ones and then draw one at random. Because obviously, if you had a choice and you were the British, you'd probably pick Pursuit because it's the same color as Escape. It will neutralize that tactic.
I'm curious if this random draw cup will help.
Let's see if it does. Did it? Okay.
Yep, good. It did. Yep.
Okay, so they're going to have Rake. That means it's just once during this combat sequence. Next time there's a defender hit, you can select there's only one target ship anyway, but this would be useful in a battle with multiple ships.
Okay. Oh, the attacker selects the lead enemy ship, rear enemy ship, or any ship at random.
Yeah.
Okay. It's okay for the human player to determine the random ship and then select a target from the best 3 options. For the AI attacker, pick the highest VP. Okay, so basically, instead of doing the randomized hitter, it basically picks the
front or the rear. Yeah, or a ship at random. Yeah. So it allows you to focus a little bit if you're trying to get the flagship or something like that.
All right, so we've got this. So now we're going to determine. So we got our tactics.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm going to disengage after my first hit is basically the way it's going to work out. But
yeah, and you're likely to get a hit based on how much firepower.
Yeah. So we calculate the ratio, which is
Yeah.
combat strength equals the half the long gun strength. Now we have the haze, so we don't use the
You're not
long
going to
gun
count
strength
any
at all.
long gun strength. Yeah.
Yep. So then we do the carronade strength plus the defense strength. So basically the middle number and the top right-hand number.
Yes. Let me just check that event card again and make sure it doesn't change the combat sequence at all. Let me just see.
And it's the first round.
No, it just means that you don't count for this one round. You don't count any long gun strength.
Yep. Okay. Well, this might not be as bad as I was thinking.
Yeah, I'm going to look at
their carronade strength is not the highest.
So 4,
6, 10, 13, 15.
15. Okay.
Plus and the
0.
defense strength. I forgot the defense strength.
So you're going to be rolling on the highest column of the CRT.
24. So 24.
Yeah. So you see on the back on the map, you've got the lake combat table here.
Yep. So it's going to be 3 to 1.
Yeah. Odds column.
Yep.
And you also get a +1 die roll modifier because the British flagship is in the attack.
Yep. All right. So basically, there are a few attack ones in here.
Yeah.
It's not just odds based where the lower a certain number is a 0. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So we roll a D10. And we add +1 to it.
Yes.
So 4
okay, you
plus
got
4
a 5.
is 5.
Modified 5. Okay, see, D takes 4 hits and withdraws. So because all those hits happened at once,
yep,
you go straight to a strike check because it basically, just got obliterated by all these hits at once. One hit, I'll show you how hits work on this player aids. Let's see here. Yeah. Can you see that, how ships take combat losses?
Yeah, I saw that. Yep.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, it took so many hits all at once that it's going to go straight to a strike check, which means that you're going to roll a die to see whether it strikes its colors, which essentially means it says, I surrender. I'm not fighting anymore. And I think on anything but a 1, you roll a 1d6, and on anything
1 to 2 is fight.
You actually add to there's a die roll modifier for each hit on a 0-step ship. So see, that first hit took it to 1 step. The second hit took its last step. Those last 2 hits fell on a 0-step ship. So that means you're going to add 2 to the strike check die roll.
Okay, so basically, yeah.
Roll
on a 1 to 2.
1d10. Roll a 1d10.
Yep.
And
on a 1 to 2, which I won't get, is a fight on. The ship refuses the strike and colors and remains engaged.
Yeah.
3 to 8 is strike colors. The ship strikes the colors and tentatively surrenders.
Mm-hmm.
And 9 to 10 is the ship sinks. So
I
got
plus sinking here. Yeah.
I added +2 to this. 9, so it sinks.
They sank the Lady of the Lake.
The Lady of the Lake is now sunk.
Yes. So there's a destroyed sunk marker you can place on it if you want to, just to keep track of that.
Okay.
Because that'll be important later in the tally and reset phase. You'll tally points for a destroyed ship. And you'll flip encounter 1 to encounter ended. And of course, that means you're not going to get to do that raid.
Yeah, I know.
But that's fine. Your other missions are going to go through.
Yeah. Yep. So
because the way it works is now that encounter 1 is ended, you go on to check the other possible encounters. But the way the encounter phase works is if there are no more deployable British ships on the homeport display, you remove all of them.
Yep. So basically, I sacrificed the Lady of the Lake for...
Yeah, it was like a pawn in a chess game there. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Camp, what happened to the escape card? Did it get nullified? Yes, it got nullified because it's after the first round.
Yeah.
So, yep.
That would have, yeah. The Lady of the Lake might have had a chance if it only took like one hit, but.
So all the possible encounters now are.
Yeah, they go away.
They go away. Well, that leaves the one raid still.
Yep.
In York.
That. So you're going to move on to the coastal action phase.
Yep. Okay. Let's get back to that.
And you'll draw for a coastal event to see if there's an event in the York zone there. Local militia. Oh, yeah. The enemy has alerted and musters some local resistance. The citizens of York have taken up their muskets there and torches and pitchforks, I guess. In the tally and reset phase, roll 1d6. If the die roll exceeds the force's total guns, the raid scores no VPs and no supplies can be captured. And it has no guns. If you look at the ASP, it's 0, 0, 0, 0. So I can tell you right now, it's a waste of time. That raid is not going to go through. Yeah.
Yep. You're right. Oh, well, that wasn't the main point of this turn, anyways. That was just going to be.
At least you didn't lose the ship or anything, so that's fine.
Yep. Okay, so we'll turn that one. Okay, so that one's basically done.
Yeah.
So that raid did not happen.
Now you can go on to your army support mission. And
which is the whole point of this turn.
Mm-hmm.
The whole point of this turn was the army support mission.
Yes. So you launch your troops, which basically means you just take those 3 troops markers and place them on that land battle box that's on the red box there on the coast.
Oh, okay. Right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, right there, or hold on, or is it the one that's
right there?
It's the one that's on Kingston Harbor.
Put them on. Oh, no, sorry, not Sackett's Harbor. It's on up here on the blue one.
Yep.
Land battle there. Yeah, you're up here.
All right.
Yeah. So then, once you launch the troops,
draw an event card and apply its coastal. So I do another event card.
You don't have to fight a harbor encounter because there are no ships inside the port. That, just to point out, if the British had ships inside the port, you might have had to fight a harbor battle, which is a certain type of encounter where you're actually fighting the ships that are inside the harbor. But you don't do that. You draw for a coastal event and place. Let's see. Okay, good. No coastal event. You got no problem. Sometimes a coastal event can disrupt your mission. Like it'll say something like sudden storm, for example.
It disrupted my raid. So
yes, yeah, it did disrupt your raid. So now you can go ahead and deal with your land battle. We don't have that in the module, but essentially what you're going to do is look at the number of long guns in your 2 army support missions. So I'm going to add them up. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then, so that's 11 long guns.
So that'll be on the 7 to 15. And unfortunately, I can't show you guys this, but you'll have to trust us. So it's on the 7 to 15 column, right?
Yeah. And then you look at number of troops markers within that column, which is 3. And that's your column you'll use. And you do an 11 to 66 die roll.
Okay. So I just don't want an 11. I just don't want an 11.
Yeah.
All right. Here I go. This is where it gets nervous and tension.
Yeah, because now it's up to the army to do its job. 52. 52. That's attacker success. So you can place an attacker success marker onto that blue land battle box. Just to remind you, that's what you got.
I gotta open this. This is little.
And
one space to the left.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So the Niagara goes one space to the left. Is that right?
You don't do any adjustments to the. No. you don't do any adjustments to any tracks yet.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh,
Just
that's right. You do all that. You do that during the.
Yeah, just mark the victory, you
Yep.
know, and success. Now, I will say, it's too bad you couldn't have gotten a major success or a feat of arms. Those are two other results you could have gotten, because if you get a major success or a feat of arms, you're allowed to roll on the shipyard damage table, which is a table that means that your troops not only won the land battle, but they got through to the shipyard and actually tried to destroy the British ship under construction, which is the
Let's see here. What is that?
you've got the British have a ship under construction. I think
Yeah, it's the
Melville.
Melville. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, keep that in
Yeah, I know. For some reason it wouldn't let it highlight until I moved
Yeah,
it.
it got stuck. I don't know why. Anyway, so that's something to keep in mind. Also, defensively, this is the reason you don't want the British attacking your home port with troops, because especially the Americans, you've got two ships under construction. Well, you've got one in make ready and one under construction. And the British, if they did really, really well in a land battle, might have the chance to destroy or even delay and damage your under construction ships. So.
All right. So that was a very successful land battle. So that's awesome.
Yeah, good job, Army.
Yep.
And then
so let me ask you real quick before we move on. So this would be the only land battle, because I only used 3, because these are done. Am I correct on that?
They're done. That's it for the game for you. You're not going to get any more troops.
Okay. So then then I would not have to worry about any Army support missions or anything like that.
No. Now the only drawback by having used them all that way is you won't be able to send them to the Niagara front, for example. So if the British, who still have all their troops, put them all into successful missions on the Niagara front, they might win that down there. But there's really nothing you can do about it other than to patrol that area and try to, win a battle against any Army support missions they might be doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So now we do the tally and reset. So destroyed in battle or captured. Unfortunately, we have one of those.
Yes, we do. The Lady of the Lake is a schooner, so it's worth 4 points. No, it was destroyed. So that's -2 points for the British. So you'll move their marker. No, you leave your marker where it is.
Okay.
And you move their marker. There you go. And now you can do the game score marker will be the difference between the two, but you don't need to do that yet.
Yeah, not till we go through, because.
Yeah, let's go through all the tallies.
Okay, so lake zone control. I lose control of the lake zone because the British are in Kingston Harbor. Or Kingston.
In the Kingston zone. Yeah, that's right. So you take away the lake control marker. That's now contested. You won't get a point this turn for that. Okay. Then
and the blockade will go away too. If I
but don't get to that yet. We haven't gotten to blockades. Oh, well, actually.
Yeah, it says
next is remove invalid blockades. Yeah, so then you would check the criteria like we did before, and you'd remove any blockades that are invalid, which you just did. What's interesting is if you had maintained the blockade, all of the British control markers on the rest of the lake would have been removed.
Oh, if you have two turns where you control the.
Yeah, so like that's another good reason to do a blockade, is because it gives you a way to basically wipe out the enemy's control of the lake.
All right. So no lake control VPs, because.
Yep. Then you go on to land battle effects. There's
no shipyard damage. Nope.
No damage because you didn't get a high enough level of success. There was nothing on the Niagara front. And then this is where if you had untransported troop markers, you would take a penalty for them, but you used them all, so good for you. There's no penalty. Mm-hmm. And if you hadn't transported them, like you might have some troops markers sitting around and they'd still be available. Raid VPs. You didn't get any this turn.
Nope, because that other one got basically stomped.
And any adjustment to the convoy supply tracks? No. And then blockade checks for new blockades. No, I don't think there'd be any.
Nope. British convoys.
Now, here's the thing. Because the British are operating out of York as a temporary home port, if you right now had at least 5 steps of your ships there in York, in the York zone, you could place a second blockade on that zone, and now you'd have dual blockades going. And if you could maintain that for another turn, you'd win the game automatically.
Okay, so we do have to do the British convoy. So it was not, we didn't flip it. So now we'll flip it. So there's a British one. And there are no convoy delays on it. There is no blockade marker in Kingston Lake Zone anymore. Advance it 2 spots.
Okay. So see, the convoy got through because the blockade was broken.
Yep. So 1. I got the right one. No, that's, yeah.
And again, I haven't taken time to look up about whether the marker can go below 0 or not, but we won't take time with that.
Yeah. And luckily we had a battle, so we were able to go through how that works and everything like that.
Yeah,
so that's really cool.
But you can see now the British are going to have a troops available again.
Yep.
Because they got their supply level up.
So those go over there.
Yeah.
But so we don't know if it's a troop.
No, we don't know. It's possible. But you can see how the supply mechanism works a number of different ways. It can help you build ships. It can delay the enemy's construction program. It can make troops available to be used. Yeah, it works a number of ways in the game, and it can even earn you points at the end.
Yeah. Okay, so no U.S. convoy this month. So, if an attack was achieved of success, major success or feat of arms land battle at the home port, the defender's convoy supply marker regresses to. Oh, so they'll go back down to.
Let's see.
Other convoy supply adjustments.
Yeah.
Land battle attacker success or better against an enemy home port. So if the attacker achieved a success, which I did,
yeah,
it will go back down. So they actually don't get that troop yet because.
Right. That's right. Because your troops basically burned things down as they, were in there. And so they don't get that. So essentially what the British did was they ran a convoy, but all that did was replace the ones they lost before. So they haven't come out ahead at all.
Yep.
Thanks to your heroic
the attack. So that actually was pretty good then that I did that. So that took care of, instead of the raise, that took care of that for that.
Yeah, it did. You've done a really good job of suppressing the British, and keeping them from having many resources to do anything. You're doing great.
Okay, with the game turn complete, tallied, reset the components. So returning full. Okay, we can skip on that because that's
because we've shown how that all works.
Yeah, we showed. Yep.
I think we should do the little battle thing.
Okay. Yeah. Let me. Let's see here. We can go. I can. Oh, come on.
I'm gonna find the playbook and get the battle out.
Yep. Get the playbook out here.
Yeah.
And then we'll do the battle and see how ours works out.
Okay.
There we go. Playbook. There we go.
Do you want to do that large one example on page 13, or do you want to do the? Let's see. Yeah, I think that's the one that has the most action in it.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. We can do that one. But we'll just set it up for that, but we'll go through the sequence separately.
Yeah.
So that'll work. Okay. So let's see here. this up. Okay. Ooh, that's too far. Okay. So let's see here. We need the.
You want me to tell you the ships?
Yes, that'd
Okay.
be perfect.
All right. Do you want to start with the Americans?
Yes, that would be perfect.
Okay, on the battle board, we're going to go on gunnery round 1. You see that little space next to the numeral 1.
Yep.
And you'll want the Madison there. That's going to be your flagship. Yeah, and you can mark that as a flagship.
So okay, I'll put it in the lake, and then I can just move them over as we go through. That'll be perfect. Yep, that'll work out. So I can just line them up. Okay. So then it's the Oneida.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Oneida. Now, the other thing we could do if you want is if you want to set it up, I can talk, or vice versa. If
that'll work. Yeah, that'll work.
Okay. Which way?
You go ahead and talk. I'll get it set up.
Okay. I'm going to minimize my screen a little so I can see questions if there are any. This would be a good time while Tony's setting the battle example up, if there's anyone who wants to ask a question. If anyone's here. I don't know.
Oh, no. Yeah, we got like.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I got the comments open. I see lots of things. Okay.
Yeah, see if there's any that I missed, because.
Yeah, and just to answer the question, what did I miss? We are now going to stop the full game playthrough after a couple turns, and we're going to turn to an example of a battle, lake combat, which takes place on a separate battle board. That's that thing with the columns over on the left where you can see Tony putting ships. Some of you might be experienced with games that are operational but have like a little battle board system. Some of the ones I can think of are like, what is it? Field Commander Napoleon might be a good example.
That's a good example.
You're basically playing an operational game, with the armies, but when there's a battle, you have a little board that's sort of it's not very tactical, but it gives you a little abstracted representation of a Napoleonic battle. And this is like that too. You're lining the ships up in a line of battle, and you're doing a few things where the gunnery is going back and forth. And essentially what's happening on this board is you can see these outer columns on the right and left edges of the battle board. Those are for the first gunnery round, because the battle takes place in a series of rounds. The first thing is gunnery round 1, and the ships are at the maximum distance apart. Then the idea is that they're kind of both of those columns are moving closer to the center of the board. As the combat goes on, it gets closer. At least it gives that idea. And the ships will take hits. Some of them may disengage. There may be results where one side takes a hit and withdraws. So a lot of things can happen. Another question that's come up is, can you play both sides, or is it just as the Americans? You can play both sides in this game. There are 2 separate campaigns. This is what we're seeing now is the US solo campaign. There's a separate campaign called the British solo campaign. Each campaign has its own rule book. So, and the rules are slightly different depending on which side you're playing, but basically it's the same game. There's just a few little changes, but it does use a different target card deck and some different components.
All right, so I've got them set up now. Other than I don't have the flagships.
Oh, okay.
But other than that,
all right. So what we need to do in the example, do you want to just use the example that's printed where the British are attacking and have the weather gauge?
Yeah, that'll be fine. Yep.
Okay, so we're going to say that the British drew an event card for a lake zone event, and got the starting weather gauge, so they can attack. The lake zone event is U.S. fair wind, which could help the Americans later if there's a reaction segment, which we won't be seeing that. So the British will attack. first you got to see whether the British will attack or not, or pass. And as the attacker in a gunnery round, the British would essentially have a total strength of 28. I won't go through the number crunching of the formula, but they have 28. The Americans would defend with 23. So that's 1-to-1 odds in gunnery round 1. And because Commodore Yo's flagship is in the attack, that's going to be a +1 die roll modifier. They're on the lake combat board. So the Americans are required to defend with all their ships, all 8 of their ships. The British actually, in the example, decided to send 3 British ships into the attack. They're sending all 3. Huh, why do I say all 3 since I see 4 in the example? Oh, well, okay. The British decide to send every gun will be needed, so they want to send all the ships. Then once their attacking and defending forces are established, each line of battle moves inward to the gunnery round 1 zone, and that's what you're seeing right now for gunnery round 1. So we're in combat sequence B for the British. You select attacker and defender tactics, and there's no symbols on the card, in the event card, so all tactics are valid. Should we use the ones that were drawn in?
Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and do that. I think that'll be
okay. The 2 tactics that were used were the British drew grapple.
Okay, I got a grapple for the British.
They've got fire. They've got rate of fire, grapple, and pursuit. And then a random, but first sorry, this is, this is the British solo campaign this is from. So the British are actually human controlled here. So you're drawing those British cards first.
Okay, so it'll be 5 British cards, correct? So
I'm sorry?
It's 5. The British are the attacker, correct? So
they're the attacker, but they're the human side.
Well, we can be in the
cards. Yeah.
We can have them as the attacker for the non-human side, and we'll just go through that. That works out just fine. Okay, so I've got our 5 cards for the tactics here. I'm going to flip them.
You get rid of a dummy.
Yep. Oh shoot!
Oops.
I forgot to just select the one. Return to yep. Okay, so we have sweep up and fire, surprise, rake, and rate of fire.
And you're drawing these for which side?
The British.
Yeah, and that's the human side. So you actually only draw 4 when it's the human side. But
okay, well, we're doing it as we're going to play it as the British was the AI side, just to.
I see. Yeah. In that case, you draw yours first. You don't draw for the British. You draw the human side first.
Well, I won't know which one of these 4 it is, so
And it won't be sweep up and fire for you because that is only usable for the British.
Okay. Well, this will. So I'm the defender as So
yeah.
Here we go. Okay. So.
Okay. Let's see.
I got to get rid of 2 dummies.
2 dummies, and then you got a choice between rate.
There we go.
Rate of fire and first shot. Yeah, you got to unselect. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I have rate of fire and first shot. So
yeah, which one do you like? Let's see. First shot, used once. Let's see.
Defender rerolls once on the late combat table.
So if you get adverse results against your side, you get a reroll on the late combat table. That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
What's rate of fire? Let's see what that does. That one you get to use in every gunnery round of the sequence. So you're reloading and firing faster than the enemy. You get a -1 die roll to the late combat table. So you got a choice between a -1 die roll, which essentially will cancel out their Commodore Yo die roll +1. So you'll get a straight roll, or you can nullify. I would take first shot because that gets you a reroll. What do you think?
I think I'd almost rather do the, I don't know, the -1 modifiers for the whole combat's pretty nice.
Yeah, that's true. It'll, yeah, okay. Take rate of fire then.
Yeah,
and
we'll take rate of fire. So I'll
start
return
first shot, and then you would draw tactics for the AI British, which would be 5 cards.
Okay, well, we did that, so then we're up to
Okay.
so we have the
So now you got to pick one of those valid ones at random for the British.
Okay, so we can just do this with a die roll. It's easy.
Sure, why not?
Um,
You know what they are.
I'll throw a D10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If it's a 9 or a 10, we'll re-roll.
Okay.
1. So it will be sweep up and fire.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, let's see what that says. Okay. The wind dies, allowing U.S. converted Laker schooners to row to standoff range with the British force. Oh, that's bad for the British.
Okay, well,
it's for U.S. use only. Oh, it's only for U.S. use only. So
okay,
British
we got to get rid of that one then.
Yeah, that's a U.S. tactic. Yeah.
So there we go. This will be
prize, rake, or rate of fire.
Rake is going to be the one. We're going to do rake.
Okay, great. And as we talked about before, that gives the attacking side the chance of targeting the lead ship, the rear ship, if there's hits, or a ship at random, and applies all the hits to that selected ship instead of distributing them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, okay, so we've got the tactics going, and then we add up the, we calculate the combat odds, which...
That actually give us those so we don't have to do it.
Yeah. So I think we said it was 1-to-1. And it'll be a straight roll because you chose that tactic that gives you a +1 and they've got a minus. So yeah, you've got
okay, so it's a -1 for each on the 1-to-1, and the British are attacking. So it is a 4 on the 1-to-1. So it's an A1, D1. So basically both take hits.
I see a 5 there.
Yeah, but it's a -1 because of the rate of fire.
But the British have Commodore Yo in their fleet, so they get a +1.
Oh, okay.
Straight roll.
So it cancels that one out. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a 5. So it is a D1.
1D2, it looks like, right? No.
1-to-1. 5 is a D1.
D1. Okay.
Yep.
So this, unfortunately, since we don't have the hit distribution table inside the module, we can't show people how that works. But it's a pretty cool chart where you roll 11 to 66 based on the number of enemy ships in the line. Right now, there's 6 of them. So you're going to roll on the 6th column.
Okay, and 44. So it's going to be on ship number 4. Takes the hit.
Ship number 4.
Wait, there's 8. There's 8 of them. Hold on, there's 8 of them.
Oh, there's 8. Sorry.
Yep. So 44 is ship number 5.
Ah, okay.
So number 5 takes the hit.
Is that the Fair American?
That is, yes, the Fair American. Yep.
Okay, so put a hit marker on that ship. All right. Now, because it took a hit, flip the Fair American over to its reduced side. There it goes. Now you see how on the reduced side, its values are in white. And you can also see, since it was a one-step ship, it's got the word no up there on the upper right. So that means it has no steps left. And when a ship loses its last step, it has to make a strike check. So you'll do that as you did before, where you roll a die. Now, this was only a single hit, so you won't have to add any modifiers to the roll.
Okay. And so we got a 4, which means it's, if I remember right, that strikes its color.
So you'll put a strike color marker on that ship. Yeah. And then let me just double check the combat sequence here. Yeah. Then you'll go to gunnery round 2, and we'll go through the same procedure again. But what you do here, see, is you shift those columns of ships one column closer to each other, like they go to that gunnery round 2 column. Except that the ship that just struck colors does not go with them. It stays where it is. Well, you can move it back, yeah. And then what you do is you close up the gap in the American line by moving those back. Yep, exactly. So it does give you a little bit of an imaginary sea battle there, right? I mean, you can kind of imagine the lines.
They're getting closer and everything.
Yeah. It's not a literal tactical game, but it gives you the feeling of a naval engagement.
Yeah, you get a little bit of that with that. Yeah, definitely.
But now you're in gunnery round 2, and this also serves as a track because then it helps you keep track of where you are in the sequence. So you go to gunnery round 2, you calculate again, and you keep the same tactics though. In some cases, I have to look back at what tactics you had. I think
rate of fire was mine.
One of them was for only 1 round, I think, but your rate of fire continues.
Yeah, the rate.
The British one. The British could have selected the ship. Let's say the British in this case just let it be random, but we forgot that in this case, because there was a defender hit and the British had the rate column, that could have all been against the front or the lead ship.
Instead, so then they would have had to take the hit on that.
Yeah, but instead it was randomly assigned. But your first shot event is your rate of fire event still in effect for this next round.
Yep.
So it'll still be a straight die roll because they still have their flagship. Their Commodore still alive.
All right.
So now odds may have changed though because of the loss of that first one that's not fighting anymore. Maybe not by much. Let's still say it's 1-1. I don't think the British.
I think it's 1-1. I think it's close.
I think it's still
only at 1 point.
Yeah, let's roll again on 1-1.
Oh, 8.
8. Okay, what have we got? Oh, A1 D2W. Okay, so first on the attacking side, you've got to assign. You got to roll for a random hit on the British one,
which is on the 4 column.
Right.
It's a 2. So. I hit the wrong button. There we go. 26. Okay. Which is actually the 2 boat anyways. So that would be the Royal George.
Royal George takes the hit. And now flip the Royal George over.
Reduce.
It doesn't have to make a strike check because it still has steps, but it does, after a hit, have to make a disengagement check.
And let's see. I memorized the strike one, but not the disengagement.
Yeah, that's fine. And that's summarized on that late combat sequence thing, I believe.
Yeah, it's a D6, 1 to 3. Oh no, wait. Still engaged. Sorry.
Yeah, so on a 1 to 3, it'll disengage. On 4 to 6, it fails and remains engaged.
Well, that's a strike. Oh, yeah. Okay, got it. Okay.
Roll a D6.
5.
Okay, the ship failed its disengagement check and remains engaged. So it's going to stay in the line as it is.
And then we have a D2W.
Okay, now you've got to, the Americans have decided they've had enough, which often did happen, in these battles. And they're going to try to withdraw, But first, you've got to assign those 2 hits to the American ships that are in combat gunnery round 2.
Yep. Okay, so we're going to use that rate just to kind of show that off a little bit here.
Mhm.
That's the British one. So
Okay.
the next time the
Well, that means
defender
you can
hits,
put both of those hits on the front or the rear,
yep.
or on a randomly assigned one if you
Well,
want.
if it for AI attacks, pick the highest VP defense ship among the 3 options. So that would actually be the Madison.
Okay, yeah, you want to go for that flagship. So yeah, which also happens to be your leading ship. So you're going to put 2 hits on it. So the first hit will flip it over, and the last hit will take away its last step. So it's going to have to make a strike check.
Well, it's on its last step.
Oh, it still has one left?
Yeah,
After
yeah. It was a 3-step unit.
Okay, that's fine. Then it makes a disengagement check.
Yep.
Same as
And
before.
it
You roll a
disengages.
d6, and on a 1 to let's see.
Yep, it disengages.
Okay, so it's going to stay there too.
No, it passed its check. It's got a 1 to 3.
Oh, it disengaged?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah,
So
1 to 3 that disengages.
okay. So what you'll want to do is mark it disengaged.
Yep.
And then now what if you look back on the combat sequence of play?
Okay. There we go. Got it.
You can see that after gunnery round 2 and checking for hits and things, you recheck the weather gauge. So
Okay.
where enough time's gone by in the battle that the wind could shift. Or
Well, there is a W, so the W.
Oh, right. I'm sorry, I forgot about the W. Yeah, but that would be if the recheck would happen if the battle continued.
Oh,
But
if anybody's
because of
still
the
there.
withdrawal result, the Americans are trying to get away first.
Yeah, I got you.
So what you'll do for withdrawal result is you're going to make let's see, any ships that, hang on a sec, I'm going to look up the procedure for it.
Let's see. Make strike and disengagement check as required. Ships that fail to disengage stay engaged. Struck ships are captured. The rest of the side ships go into transit area of the port. So
here's what I'll say about withdrawal. It means that an entire side's force withdraws from the battle and returns to its home port. This usually ends the encounter, but it will continue if the ships that were just hit also fail their disengagement check. There can also be an AWDW result where both sides go back to their home ports. Now, here's the important rule on page 33. Withdrawal results against the human player's side are optional. So if you think you're winning the battle,
gotcha,
and you still have a fighting chance here, even though you've got a couple of ships out of action, you can ignore the withdrawal result and continue the battle at your own risk. So
I did see that when I was reading that. I was like, oh, that makes sense. It doesn't force you as the human player to withdraw when you might be doing fine.
Right.
Because
but if it was the British, they would withdraw. Right.
Yeah. Looking at the odds table, the W's are all over the place. So you want to make sure, like, yeah, you might get a bad roll, but you might still be in good condition. So.
Right. So basically what that D2W meant was that you make all the hits first and you check for disengagements and striking colors the way you did. And then
all the rest of them go to engage or to the in transit box.
Yeah, the rest of those ships that weren't hit all withdraw by going to the in transit area of their home port display. Any ships that suffered a hit as part of the result but passed their disengagement check I'm trying to remember. Yeah, they did disengage. The Madison successfully disengaged, so it'll go home with the rest of them.
The only one that won't would be the one that struck its colors, the Fair
Exactly.
American.
That one,
he gets captured.
And will end up getting captured. Yeah. So at the end of this turn, if we were playing a real game, the British would probably get control of that lake zone because they drove you off. They will also have captured the Fair American, which will get them some VPs for ship capture. And because they damaged the Madison, that means that the Madison will have to spend a turn in repair, getting fixed back up. So the Americans will be a little shorthanded, on their following turn for the operation.
To me, it's one of those reasons where you're like, you want to be aggressive, but you gotta temper that aggressiveness, because it could really set you back if your battle goes,
Yeah.
pear-shaped.
And now let's say if you had decided rashly to continue the fight and ignore the withdrawal result, then you would actually draw for a new weather gauge, which would mean possibly you could continue, onto it would continue to a close action round where the British would get even closer, and they would definitely have the edge on that.
Well, if you
could get the weather gauge yourself and launch an American attack.
Yeah, I was going to say, so if the weather gauge switches, you become the attacker, correct?
Yes, and the marker would go over to combat sequence A, and you'd start over again with gunnery round 1, etc.
Yep, so it would go up to here to gunnery round 1, which is pretty cool. That's a neat mechanic, by the way, Gina. I really like it. I
stole that from SPI, which had I think they had a World War II game called CV or something like that, had to do with the Pacific War. And it was just something I noticed when I was just looking at other naval games. I never played that game, and I don't really know much about how it works, but I just noticed that it had a variable combat sequence where it could switch. So
that's really cool. I really do like that. So, well, we've been going for, good 2.5 hours here. So, and I think we really got to show off your game, and now I'm going to go get it on my table, and I'm going to get it through and play it through and go from there. So, but this was really good. I do appreciate that. And I think a lot of people got a lot out of it. We had one sale that we know about. We might have more. But Gina, I really want to thank you for coming on. You're just such a wonderful, and I really appreciate it. This was absolutely awesome. If you ever want to come on once you get Battle of Atlanta all taken care of, I would love to have you back on and we can play a little bit. And then in that game, you could take a side and I'll take a side and we'll just play, because I know that game a little bit. So by that time I'll know it more. So we can have some fun.
I would encourage anyone interested in that to join the Discord channel for Blind Swords games. I don't have the link on me, but if you can find it, Tony, you could post it.
I'll put it in the description.
Because I created a thread for the Atlanta game on there, and I've been posting constant progress images and battle reports showing, how the design is going and what it looks like. So anyone interested can go there and follow it and ask questions and talk about it. Also, if you're interested in that game and you're able to get to the West Coast, anyone who goes to GMT West in Hanford, weekend at the warehouse in October, I will have a prototype on the table there.
Oh, nice.
Maybe more than one if I have more copies, but it'll be getting a lot of play testing there at GMT West. And so if you're just interested in seeing it, that's another chance to see it or possibly even play it a little. So.
And Cam's a really big player. Cam Sawyer, he plays a lot of the he loves the Civil War. So yeah, he'll want to do a 160th anniversary or something of that battle, some income. So hopefully it's out by that time so he can do that, because that's what he's been doing on his channel. Well, Gina, I do appreciate it. It's been really good. As you get things done, I will definitely get on that Discord, because I love it. I use Discord a lot for a lot of different things, so I'll jump on that. And then as things go, if you get a good vassal module, whatever, and you want to go through a couple turns, I'm more than willing to go through it with you, and we can show it off and everything along those lines. So now, is that being pushed out by or published by Revolution, correct?
We don't have currently I'm just making the game,
Okay.
And Revolution has no formal.
Okay. No,
They
there's nothing
haven't seen the full
formalized
game
yet.
yet. It's just a question of whether they like it and want to add it to the series. So we don't really know, but I've got my fingers crossed, and I think it has a good chance of.
Yeah, they've got, and I know they've got a lot of different of those modules, and I have a lot of them. I have a lot of those games, so I really do enjoy it.
I'm really happy to be involved with it.
Yeah. So, all right. I want to thank everybody for coming in. I appreciate it. Again, if you have any questions as we went through, please put them in the comments below the video. And then if it's something I can answer, I'll answer. If not, I'll send it on to Gina, and then we'll get the answered for everybody. Because I know a lot of things I do when I watch a video, I'll immediately go to the comments to see if they're going to that. So, yeah, I've got, me and Ruff have our BOAR. So we have Mick, Nicholas, the designer. He's been helping us with those with Monmouth, which is a battle that we're having fun with as well. So we're doing that. So Gina, thank you very much. Everybody that came in, I appreciate it. And yep, I love that. Yes, it does help us. It makes us gamers feel a little bit better that we're doing the right thing at that time. So, all right. Have a good day, everybody. Thanks a lot.